Good evening, everybody out there in YouTube land. Welcome. Hello, everybody. How are we doing today?
I'm doing good, man. Just chilling.
Good.
Oh yeah, good to be here.
I know I say this every time, but I love that intro. That intro is so good.
It's the music
Yeah.
that gets me.
Thank you.
This music with the way that the all those great movies are shown.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. My favorite part is when John Wayne comes out of the teepee on the horse. That's my favorite part.
Classic John Wayne.
Yep.
I had to check for a second to make sure it was Tuesday, not Wednesday.
You okay, Nadia?
I'm good. I'm good. Let's go.
Well, welcome, Shieldwall. Glad you could come on again.
Oh, it's great to be here. I always appreciate that you bring me on and we can talk about these great old movies. One thing I like about these older movies is that it reminds me of being at my great grandmother's house because she had like all the stuff that you see in these movies, like old washing machines and
Mhm.
just table salt
Right.
shakers and whatever that you see laying around on these tables. So I like watching these movies. Plus, they're great movies anyway. But I guess it always has like that kind of nostalgia for me, kind of connected to that. So it's
Yeah.
great. But yeah,
Cool.
thanks for having me on again.
Yeah. Nadia, welcome. Your first time on the show. Thanks
Yes.
for coming on.
I'm very excited to be here. I'm excited to talk about this movie. I really enjoyed watching it.
Cool. Mags, hello. Good to have you
Hello.
on again.
Oh yeah, it's always good to be back here, Jacob. You always put on quite a good panel and also quite the entertaining movie to watch. And some I've seen and some I haven't seen. I've actually not seen this movie before, so it's been a pleasure actually viewing it for the first time. So
Cool.
thank you.
Yeah. And uninspired reviewer, man. How's it going?
Oh, dude, doing great. Thanks for having me on again. It's my pleasure to come on and talk about old movies because I fucking love them. So yeah, and kind of like Mags too. This was actually my first time properly sitting down and watching this one. I had vivid memories of watching it, little snippets of it on TCM growing up, but I had never seen it in full. And yeah, this was a pretty good one. So yeah, I'm happy with the choice.
Yeah, thank you. Let me say hello to the chat real quick. And first up, we got a new person to the channel, Tomby. Tomby,
Hey
I
Tomby.
think.
Hi, hi.
We got Corey. What's up, man?
Ahoy.
And Adam Gray. Hello. And Cannoli.
Big C.
Good evening, sir. And
Hey Smoo.
I was just talking to Smoo and
welcome,
Tomby.
Shmoo.
Yeah, what's up to all those people?
Yeah.
Smooth and everybody. It's awesome
Yeah.
you guys are here.
Yeah. Got a good bunch. Yeah, I've seen this movie several times. I can't count how many times, but yeah, it's a interesting. It's different from most of Hitchcock's other shows because it invades the small, quiet hometown and house. You know, your comfortable places that you should be comfortable in.
Mhm.
And I just really like that he invaded. He even said that he liked this one because he invaded the comfort of small town.
Oh yeah, I mean, I couldn't even imagine being back at the time this came out, so 43, and having seeing Hitchcock's influence. Because I think that today we are a bit desensitized to what's proper. How would I say this? What's proper goosebump material?
Mhm.
Considering Hitchcock was,
Right.
the master of his time, and you watch this today, you could think, oh yeah, it's a pretty good thriller. But put your mind in other people from back then, and they're just like, wow, this was proper horror at the time.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
very terrifying. Probably back then at the time, more probably related to a horror movie than a thriller. Nowadays, to
Mhm.
me, it didn't scare me, but it's definitely more of a thriller than a horror movie. But I can see back then, you know, having somebody invade your town like that, or just your home, and somebody
Oh yeah.
your family member.
Yep. It's a small town too, so it's kind of
Mhm.
like everybody knows each other.
Mhm.
And and then something like this happens, and the like in the very beginning, of course, they talk about how wonderful um, Uncle Charlie is, and in the end, he's not so wonderful. So,
Yeah,
or
it's
all throughout, you're just kind of like, what in the heck is going on here?
it's yeah, it's more. I thought of it more as like a psychological thriller because
Mhm.
Hmm.
throughout you kind of didn't really you suspected, but you really weren't sure what was
Hmm.
going on, and his relationship with his cousin or niece, I mean,
Eunice, yeah.
yeah. And so I was like, well, maybe in the like 1940s, that's just kind of how people were. But he seemed a
It was
little,
weird, huh?
yeah, it
Yeah.
It
was
was a little
creepy.
incestual.
Yeah, it
Very
Yeah, it
was
was.
very,
off-putting.
Yeah.
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 They were like touching each other's face and stuff. Sometimes
She
I was
was
like,
looking
whoa,
at
what's
him
going
with
on?
like, sparkly eyes. I was like,
Yeah.
whoa, what is this?
Now I get
Well,
that.
and you
Where
It's
and sometimes you
strange.
wonder if, because at first I was like, is this one of those things where it's your quote unquote aunt and uncle or something like that, where sometimes you'll have family who's been, or people who've been part of your family who are not actually family, but they're like
Yeah, not
friends or
actually
like
related
close
to you.
neighbors, and sometimes you just grow up calling them, because I've had those before, where
Same.
it's like aunt and uncles that way, but then I'm like, oh no, this is actually the real deal.
yeah,
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Yeah.
I
If this
wonder
had
if it.
been,
Oop,
oh, I'm
go
sorry.
ahead,
Go ahead.
Shield.
I was going
I
to say,
will.
I just wonder if it's a different culture. You call people aunt and uncle, and it has different connotations. But this is an American movie, so it doesn't.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
weird because, like, as I was saying backstage, like, I grew up in Africa. Over there, everyone's your aunt, your uncle, no matter who they are, as long as they're a family friend. That's what you call them as a sign of, like, respect. And
Yep.
this one is just really weird, really, really weird.
I wonder if they fleshed out the character of Jack a little bit more to have that relationship with the younger Charlie, uh, to kind of deter from the fact that the relationship with her uncle was a little off-putting.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree with
that
that.
that's a good catch. I agree too.
And
So
and to kind of have that offset of a normal relationship composed or next to the one that's weird and
Mhm.
not quite right.
Yeah, Joseph Cotton in this is fantastic. His facial expressions, just his demeanor, his body language. He's
The deadpan stare as well.
no life in that eyes. No
Hmm.
life.
No.
So well done.
Like
but
a doll's eyes.
what's so
Mhm.
crazy about it is that he can turn on the charm at the drop of a hat and be. So here he's by himself, so he doesn't have his mask on. Not literal mask, is philosophical mask, whatever you want to call it. And but as soon as he runs into people that he needs to charm, that immediately he can, you know, have that visage up, which is the sign of a psychopath, I think,
I have to
sociopath.
Yeah.
Oh
I
yeah.
have to I have to admit though, during this entire scene, knowing it's Alfred Hitchcock, I was like, "Is he gonna kill this lady?" This is
Yeah.
the way it's set up too, it just seems so very like, "Whoa," like, you immediately jump into this off-putting, very uncomfortable type feeling and setting, and it's like, "Oh my god, is she gonna get it? Like, what's going to happen here?" So, gosh, Hitchcock is very good at being able to really, really, switch things up in that way where he you think one
Yes,
way and actually, nope, that's not
master
how
of misdirection.
Mhm.
exactly.
It's like what
Yeah.
that's one of
Yeah.
the huge aspects of horror too that people don't talk about is the fact that horror is a lot of misdirection, and that's where the suspense comes from,
Mhm.
because that's also
Yeah.
how you make a great twist in a film. And Alfred Hitchcock is the master for a reason.
And also, what makes this so interesting is it is a mystery. Up
Mhm.
until about midpoint, you're not really sure
Yes.
what's going on, and then when it gets revealed, then you're like, "Oh wow, this okay." And then you go from there, and then it's like, "What will happen now?"
Hmm.
And that's where the suspense builds. It goes from like a mystery to a suspense to, you know,
Yeah.
it's got danger and stuff involved in it. So a little
I
bit
Yeah.
of
just
fear.
This lady's flirting with danger.
yes.
She annoys him too much. She might get thrown out the window.
Exactly.
I just also want to comment that men should go back to wearing suits all the time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
I'd
mean,
love it. I would love it.
I would love it too.
I'm wearing a suit right now. There you go. You can't see it.
Hey,
You
look
can see
at
it on my
you.
picture.
But that's the great thing
Hey,
about
I'm
this
wearing a
is
suit too.
when the movie opens, you really don't know anything about this guy. So what we're projecting onto this scene is, oh, he threw out the window. That's because we've seen the end and we know what he's capable of. But at this point, I don't know this. I don't even know who he is. I'm like, okay, so I got to figure it out. And that's what I like about this kind of movie is they tell the story and you learn as you go. Where these days it seems like they want to give away the whole plot or whatever.
Oh, even in the trailer, because if you watch
Yeah.
the trailer for this on Amazon, it doesn't give any of the plot away
Mhm.
whatsoever. Nowadays, I feel for all movies, you can just pretty much get what the movie's going to be in the trailer that they drop. That's like 4 or 5 minutes long.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It'll
I
have
think
it'll
that.
have all the best parts in it too.
Yeah, I think that's kind of started in the 90s actually, because in the 90s they used to show a lot in the trailers. I mean, a lot. And it's just something that's continued progressively because at least back then the trailers were a minute long. Now they're about 3.5 to 4 minutes each time. So
Yeah.
it's horrible.
Just think about if they released the trailer for the first Matrix movie these days, they would have ruined it. But back then when the trailer came out, it was all they showed was like the inside the Matrix part. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So when I was in the theater and they showed that there's a different reality, I was like literally like taken back in my seat, like, whoa. And the scope of it all, it was great.
Yeah, it's
I
it's
just
part of the experience of watching a movie. Is that you have to know enough that'll entice you to want to watch it, but you shouldn't know enough to the point where you know everything, especially if it's something like a thriller.
Yes. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I 100% agree with you. Thrillers nowadays, you can pretty much figure it out with either the trailer or within the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Hmm.
Something like this, like said, we know what the ending is going to be. So looking back at the beginning, we can kind of see clear signs and red flags everywhere. But watching the movie for the first time, I was like, who is this guy? I'm like, is he a good guy? Is he just Uncle
Yeah,
Charlie? Just mistaken for somebody, you know?
It's, and the way he turns, like I think it was Shieldwall who, or I think it was Shieldwall who mentioned the charm aspect, where it's like he's so miserable and what do you want to call it, brooding and everything else, and then all of a sudden he goes into like happy-go-lucky Charlie kind of thing going on here, and it's so jarring too, because you just go, wait, hold on one second, like is you're right, Nadia. Is he really good, or is there something else going on here? And all this, there's definitely an underlying theme of secrecy, secrets, and kind of knowing people who they really are. Because I mean, in the beginning, where young Charlie, let's just put it that way, is, she says to him that I have a feeling I like we're or something along the lines of they're so alike. She kind of knows she knows when he's
yeah, they're
hiding
like
something.
telepathically connected.
Exactly, but it's almost like she is his, what do you wanna call it? The juxtaposition of who he is, like,
Mhm.
here she is innocent,
right,
and
the mirror but opposite.
yeah, like a she's young and
Yeah.
innocent, she's full of wonder and everything else, but then Uncle Charlie is completely opposite. There's a lot of shrouded mystery and darkness hanging over him, so
He's definitely a Slytherin.
But they
Yeah.
Yeah.
but they still have a connection.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, because there are times in the movie later where you can see kind of like a parody, not like a parody like two, you know what I mean? Where they're kind of similar in a couple of different ways. At least that's how I I saw it. And that's the other thing. If you rewatch a movie like this multiple times, you pick up on different things through it. It's like any movie, really.
Mhm.
Yeah,
You
very
pick,
small
yeah,
details.
right. Details, or you're just trying to absorb the story and figure out what's going on. So now that you know, you can watch it again and you can look for those cues and be like, ah, this is where it happened. That
Yeah,
kind of thing.
it's kind of like a 12 Angry Men situation where I keep saying you can rewatch that movie 12 times and see
I love that
12
movie.
different. Yeah, same. I think it's incredible. And you can rewatch it 12 times and see 12 different reactions each time you're watching it. And even then, it's great. And, just to complement the what's on screen right now, I realized that whenever they shoot what's his name, so Uncle Charlie, whenever they shoot Uncle Charlie, in terms of the framing that they use, they really use the thriller and noir filmmaking style. However, once you move on to the young Charlie and her family, they completely switch to the more
Yeah.
comedic setting that they used in terms of staging and blocking, which
Mhm.
I think is a pretty good touch. And progressively as he goes throughout the movie, he reverts back to the weird noir type style whenever the
Mhm.
film gets very intense, which I think is a huge testament to Hitchcock's
Yeah.
filmmaking and the cinematography as well.
I mean,
Yeah,
I can
absolutely.
remember first time watching this that are these guys mobsters or because of the way they shot it. I thought
It
that's a really
again,
good
it's all that
good point there.
mystery. You're wondering like 1,000 different things of what is actually going on here until
Hmm.
you read the newspaper headline. So,
Right. And
Yeah.
all the stuff that goes on with that.
mhm.
And so for those in the chat that have never seen this movie or don't know what it is, it's basically it's a thriller and kind of like a murder mystery. Like these cops are chasing this guy for something that he did, but we don't find out what it is as the viewers until towards the end. Um, and then the steps that he has to take to try to obfuscate that what he's done and not
Right.
let anybody find out. But through the course of actions of him doing things, he's kind of let clues drop. So it's what makes it so good.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
So
for
he
sure.
he gave those guys the slip and is sending a text message the old-fashioned way.
Yeah. Yep. The old fashioned way. Exactly. He's sending a telegram through the phone. So he has to say
Yeah.
like, "Hey, this is your uncle. I'm coming to town. Stop. It's going to be great to see you. Stop." That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
God,
Yeah.
there's a
the
generation of children that don't know what that Telegram is. They don't know
well,
what
they think
Telegram
it's
is.
an
Or
app,
or
you
what
know.
that
Yeah.
thing is on the hanging on the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Please contact me on Telegram for free PS5.
And like there's another aspect of the film that I really do appreciate, and considering this is 43, it's pretty big for the time, is the fact that the score actually complements what you see on screen a lot.
Mhm.
And it's not just background noise, because I feel like in general in Hollywood, back then when they were first starting out with music and film and all of that, it was mostly background noise, except for a few. Of course, you had a few exceptions. For example, this is an exception. Casablanca, which I think was the same year or the year before,
I
was an
think
exception as well.
yeah,
And
I think you're right. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, 42 I think was Casablanca, and then after that, then I think Hitchcock kind of helped elevate score in film where it is today with Bernard Herrmann, of course, and their collaborations, which I think started a full decade after Shadow of a Doubt came out. It really shaped the soundtrack and score aspect of film and how it can actually complement a film apart from musicals at the time, which were fairly big. And then I think we lost it around, let's say, the 60s sometime, but we regained it back in the 70s. And today, I feel like it's completely lost whatsoever. Like, you rarely find a score that'll complement your film. We did have a few exceptions this year, kind of like Oppenheimer was one, Across the Spider Verse as well was one. But in general, nowadays it's gone back to being background music. And to see this in 1943 is just exceptional work.
That is one
Yeah.
note I made uh when I watched this. Speaking of sound, you don't have to watch this movie with subtitles because everybody speaks clearly
Yes.
and pronunciates
Yeah.
words and actually is not mumbling and
Yeah.
is projecting.
You know, it's so funny you mentioned. I know we were talking about singing the rain backstage. That whole scene about diction and enunciating your words clearly and and loudly, but also with certain emotions for the scene and everything. That is so very
Yeah.
important for the audience to understand what's going on. And you're right, Nadia. It's
At
just
some
It's like,
point, we lost it. I watched a documentary on it. At some point, because back in this day, actors were taught to project, pronunciate, so audiences could hear you. And at some point, we lost it because directors started allowing actors to be more, I guess, into the character, mumble your words, speak very low
yeah,
dialogue.
because they can fix it in post now. They don't need a
Mhm.
full segment of actors just doing Moses supposes his
Yeah, let's
toes
fix
or
the toes.
But
you know
also
what
it's because of subtitles too. Even sometimes in post they don't fix it. They they like it how it is, but there are some movies that I'm like, I can't hear a single thing this person is saying. I have
Yeah.
to put
Christopher
subtitles
Nolan
on.
movies,
Yes.
especially.
I wish I could
Yeah.
watch Christopher Nolan movies in theaters with subtitles.
Oh yes.
So then
Yeah,
we jump to Charlie's niece, which is who is named after him. So her name's Charlie, but she's also, first time you see her, she's laying back in thought, just
Mhm.
like her uncle.
Oh yeah. And I
Similar,
don't know.
yeah. But
Yeah.
brighter lighting on her. More
Yeah.
and the scene is it's warmer than the opening scene with him. For some reason it comes off very cold for me in the opening where he's lying on the bed and the woman comes in and just his demeanor. This seems very homey, warm. She's daydreaming like teenagers do, or I don't know how old
Right.
she is in this, but yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. I do think she is a teenager. I think she's like 18 or 19. I'm not too sure.
She had to be if the talk of marriage was brought up towards the end of the movie with the detective.
True.
yeah.
But back
she's-
then, I don't know.
Back then, girls stayed at home longer. Or
Mhm.
boys and girls stayed at home longer than they do today.
right.
That's true.
I mean, my family, we're Middle Eastern. You stay at home until you're married. So,
But
like,
also back then, if you didn't marry by the time you were like 24, you were an old maid.
yep.
So
Oh wow.
yeah.
What did y'all think of the younger sister?
Basically, that's her version of a phone
Yeah.
nowadays.
Her entertainment.
Yeah.
Reminded me a lot. I'm going to say it. Reminded me a lot of me because I was a big reader at this age and very nosy at this age.
I think a lot of people were big readers when they were younger. I mean, well, maybe not everybody, but I know I was. I was reading like a book a month at least, and
hmm
just so many different things.
Well, we didn't have the internet back then.
That's
mean,
true.
I had the internet closer at a young age, but at the same time, it wasn't as advanced as it is now with social
Yep.
media.
Mhm.
You didn't turn to the internet for your entertainment, more so for the first part of it for information, writing papers and stuff like that. So books, I remember still going to the library and renting DVDs, things like that. VHSs. That was
yeah.
more the entertainment. Yeah.
Always went to the library
Yeah.
to rent out the VHSs too. So
Mhm.
Yeah, you could get so much for free. And also, I remember back when the internet was around, where you could scroll and you'd hit the bottom of a page,
Yep.
and that was it. You didn't just go forever.
Yeah, now they try and make it endless. They just try and catch you in a loop and keep you entertained and keep you hooked so that they can shove
Right.
ads in your face. Oh,
Exactly.
God.
It's all about the
Right.
revenue. Yeah.
Right. I love what she says. I tried to find a pencil. I really did.
So immersed in her book, she just didn't care.
Yeah. And she even says, "Oh, I try not to let things bother me, or things that don't matter in the way to get in the way."
Yeah, I mean, it's fun to see a young kid that way too, because you don't really have a lot of kids in old movies. Not as much as you'd expect, actually, except for in some of the major ones. But most of them were very adult-centered casts.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also back then, um, it's kind of like a little different. Like back then, kids were expected to be kids, but they also, I think, maybe had more responsibility than kids do these days,
Oh yeah,
depending
for
on
sure.
where you lived at, if you were on a farm or whatever, that kind of thing. So,
Responsibilities, chores.
right.
Yeah.
But not only that, but just, yeah, those kinds
Well,
of things.
taking care of your own space as well as being responsible for your, homework, reading, doing
Yes,
stuff,
exactly.
your own entertainment, so to
You
speak.
had to be autonomous. You had to
Right.
know how
Because
to
there
do
was
stuff
no
yourself.
helicopter parenting
Right.
back then.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And also taking care of your house, taking
Mhm.
care of your environment, not leaving it to your parents to clean up after you.
Mhm.
Yep.
Exactly.
That's because you could whoop the crap out of your kids back then.
Oh
And
yeah.
nobody
Well, I
would say
mean,
anything.
you still can, depending on where you're from, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you
Or
know what I
what
mean?
culture you're brought up in.
But
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. But right. Yeah, if you get the chancla, then
I mean, I'm
yeah.
I'm all for spanking to an extent, but I'll get canceled. Never mind.
Man, my mom whooped my
Hey, look,
ass as a
I
kid.
deserved every single spanking I
Yeah,
got.
me
So.
Same.
Me
But
too.
yeah, but that was how it was back then, The belt came out pretty quick.
Let's just say
Yeah.
some people in the real world now did not get spanked enough as a kid.
Yeah, they could use a
Yes,
belt
you can
today.
tell.
Yes.
So she seems to be pouting somewhat.
Also, how old do the parents come off? Because I can understand them having Charlie because she's closer to 20. But I feel the other two children are very young and they
Yeah.
seem very old.
The mom especially seems pretty old. Henry, I think this is Henry Travers. This is the guy that played the doctor in the 1933 Invisible Man.
Yeah.
I don't know if
He
you
was
guys
also
remember.
It's a Wonderful Life as Clarence.
Clarence.
Oh
Mhm.
yes, yep, for sure. And
And he's
yeah,
been, I think he was, I can't remember what other movie. But yeah, he's obviously, a lot of these actors and actresses you see repeat in a lot of movies over time because
mhm.
they were really good at what they did. So
It could also be the hairstyle and the clothing of the time that makes them seem older than they are. But the whole time I'm watching, I'm like, there's no way you guys just now have a 5-year-old rolling around this little
But
boy.
also, this back then, I mean, people aged differently. They didn't have all the creams and
That's
Botox,
true.
and they were all smoking and drinking. Like later in the show, they're like, "Go get the whiskey from the bedside as like to wake her up or whatever." And so, you're smoking cigarettes and all that kind of stuff. Who knows? Maybe they're like in their late 30s or something.
Well, yeah,
That's
that's
true.
actually
I mean, I
probable.
keep whiskey by the bedside, but I mean, maybe I'm
hey, there's nothing wrong with some whiskey.
in case of emergencies.
You
No,
never
I'm
know.
kidding.
Hey, if Red
Agreed.
Dead Redemption 2 taught me anything, whiskey and cocaine gum will get you through almost anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Literally
you
cocaine.
never know.
So here
And
she's like, I know what'll cheer this family up. I'll go call Uncle Charlie and invite him home. Little does she know.
See what I mean? This kid is way too young.
Oh yeah, you're really
Yeah.
young. What's
By
his
the way,
name?
I love
Roger.
this house. This house is gorgeous.
It is. It is.
I wish houses looked like this.
Yeah,
nowadays.
and they probably bought it for
I
like
know.
$1,200 or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
$20. Well, it's weird because in the bank when sorry to fast forward, but when Uncle Charlie is depositing money and he's depositing 40 grand, people are looking at him like, what? Like,
You know why? That's because I looked it up, and that's worth $40,000 in 1943. It's worth $700,000 today.
wow.
Yeah, so I'd be like
Wow.
rolling in with almost
Man,
$1
that's
million bucks and
crazy.
be like, "Here you go."
Please, somebody
this in your
create a
bag.
time machine because I would like to go back to the 40s.
Yes.
Back when inflation wasn't kicking our asses.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, I'll take that Cadillac for
$5, sure.
what?
Well, but the average,
$5. Yeah.
I didn't look it up, but I looked up another one from the 60s, like 1967. The average yearly salary was like $7,000. So in
Damn.
America, yeah.
Simpler times, man.
Yep.
Simpler times when people actually
Mhm.
live lives instead of living to work.
Yeah, back when you could actually move out of a house.
Yeah.
If you go back far enough, though, it gets worse than it is now.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
As far as
Yeah,
like
yeah.
people making $1 a day trying to live off of that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
but back
Anything
then
before
people grew their own
1895.
people grew their own
Yeah,
food.
yes.
They ate within season.
Yeah.
They had their own
They also went
sometimes
to the markets
farm.
too.
Yeah.
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 Not
Yeah, I mean-
everything was killed, butchered, packaged for you, and you were able to go. People actually had to learn skills to survive.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely not where my great grandmother lived. If you wanted chicken, you had to cut its head off.
Oh, same thing with my dad. I'm first generation here in the United States. My grandmother, I mean, she still, when she came to this country, still was killing chickens. They killed a lamb when we bought when my dad bought a house because it's like a tradition, and then roasted it too. So yeah,
Yeah, same. I've already had lamb
No.
slaughtered in my backyard, so.
you ask me to do it.
And that's the thing. If you go back to even in the 40s, like my great grandmother was saying, they were killing all kinds of animals that they were raising.
Mhm.
And she had a garden up into her 90s, like
Yeah.
outside her house. Yeah, plowed it and everything.
And now
Yeah,
we just
my
go to Trader
grandpa
Joe's.
and his brother and father were migrant farmers during the Depression.
Mm.
Don't know if y'all heard that.
Yeah. You drive around and they needed people for the harvest because they didn't have the machinery like they do now to pick stuff at a high rate.
Yeah,
Also,
now
there's
one
still
person
some
can do it.
There's still crops out there though that have to be handpicked.
Yep.
Unless you want to spend like $1 million or $2 million on some kind of weird machine that can do it.
Well, here in France, actually, they pay you for crops to go and hand pick some stuff. For example, you can do it. It'll take like a day, and then they'll just be like, "Yeah, we'll weigh what you've taken at the end of the day, and you just get paid, man." And they pay you handsomely for about 2 or 3 days' work. It's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, there's a lot of crops though that you have to hand pick otherwise, and you have to be trained to hand pick it. You just can't be used, like somebody off the street. You have
That's
to work
also
your way up
probably.
to it.
Oh, sorry. My delay for some reason. Sorry, Shieldwall.
No, that's fine. I was actually done with what I was saying.
What I was gonna say, it's also a reason why people were a lot thinner back then is because they had to work for stuff like that.
Well, you walked everywhere too.
Yeah, but you also farmed, you garden, like you said, you walk everywhere.
You're far more
you-
physically active. Yeah.
So let's talk about this porter real quick. I just want to bring something up. So during the Great Depression, a lot of people were losing their jobs, but the porters had a union, and they were some of the few people that were able to like have a steady job because of that. And
Wow.
yeah, they were. It
Interesting.
was a highly respected job too, to be a good porter on a.
Hey, look, that's Hitchcock in the chair.
Oh, with the cards, yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, he's always
There
in
he
one.
is.
He's always got to be with there. I'm surprised they didn't have his dogs. Well, maybe he didn't have his dogs by then.
I'm surprised he didn't like look back. You know.
Completely wink at the camera.
Yeah. Then when Charlie's traveling on the train, he pretends to be sick,
Yes.
right? Yeah. So nobody will kind of mess with him.
So nobody sees him actually. That's what the guy
Right.
says. Says he hasn't seen him even before he boarded the train.
Then this guy playing cards as a doctor, and she's like, "Oh, well, maybe you can help him." And he's like, "I'm on vacation."
Vacation.
Yeah.
That's a brilliant way of having somebody not bother you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
On
You just
vacation.
nowadays you just tell him, "I've got the vid. Come near me."
Or just cough into your elbow.
Yeah. Well, also nowadays you just wear a mask everywhere you go.
True. I mean, nowadays people don't bother you anyway, so
Yeah.
people tend to keep to themselves most of the time.
Look at that. It's an old steam train.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Hitchcock wanted that black smoke as like there's a evil coming to town.
Okay. Because I was going to say by 43 they had diesel pretty much everywhere, or electric even.
Mm, yeah, and man, it's pretty good. I think that some of the exterior shots are what makes the film shine because a lot of them are shot really, really well, and especially with the lighting, considering that you have to overexpose a lot when you're shooting with black and white, and they managed to nail all of this perfectly, especially the shadows and just bouncing back on what I said before of the way they shoot in the noir style and the usual comedy style. It's a lot with its use of shadows, especially when you see Uncle Charlie. Um, Whenever he reaches the house, it's like a looming presence, essentially.
Yeah, and where they shot it at is probably a super bright blue sky day. Not a lot of clouds, so
Except for the big black smoke that just
right,
arriving.
exactly, which really sets that apart. I think is why it kind of really stands out.
I just
That's
love old
crazy.
black and white movies, man.
I
Same.
know.
The coloring, the contrast of the black and white and gray tones, and the lighting, using lighting so well, especially and it was an earlier scene when he was leaving Philadelphia and they did the overhead shot of the two guys following him too.
Mhm.
I miss when people actually gave an F for what they were doing in film work.
Well, and not only that, it's like the usage of just the sets in general and lighting. I mean, one of my favorite things that I love about Hitchcock is, and he does it in this movie too, are the long shadows. Like they're
Yes.
so like they almost play their own character in all of this. So I just it's visually pleasing and giddy for me. So I love it because it's like, ooh, look at this detail. Look at this. I mean, there's so much detail in this black and white movie. That's the crazy thing.
I know.
The way he manipulated these people on the train, too. It's like he's acting all like he's sick and everything. And
Yeah, I'm surprised
as
no
soon as he
one
gets off the
called
train, he's
out.
like, "Oh, I'm better."
Yeah, I'm surprised that no one called him out because he got off the train and you can clearly see the people are helping him drop his bags off. Aren't they like, oh wait, isn't this dude? Wasn't he supposed to be sick? Well, why is he
Yeah.
okay now?
Yeah,
Or else they
yeah.
couldn't just care less,
I
24-hour bug.
but
Yeah.
yeah. But maybe people weren't so different than they are now with the limited attention span.
Yeah,
And just be like, okay, whatever.
And
I
now
mean,
here,
'cause really, if I got off a train, I really would just kind of, I'm busy doing my own thing, so I just beeline to whatever I'm doing.
true.
here's the weird niece and uncle relationship story.
I know.
Very, very weird.
Well,
Oh my god.
This part wasn't okay. They're just seeing each other for a long time. I was like, all right, people, their uncle and niece and whatever, and then she's here too.
She's here too.
Yeah. But you know what I mean. It's not like they're like in a room alone together or something.
Yeah, I mean the
So
dad is here as well.
yeah. So I was like, okay, it's the 40s. Maybe people are a little more, and also we've been conditioned by modern society to see to deconstruct every social interaction to look for all kinds of negative things about it.
That's true. That's
Well,
true. Back then, it was more wholesome. What we would consider weird was back there considered wholesome. I mean, I think the word "gay" was used as the proper
Happy.
definition of happy,
right,
like giddy, where that's not how it's used nowadays.
right, exactly. So if you're looking at an old movie through a modern lens, which is why I think that even somebody that should know better watching this, it still set off alarm bells in my head. Now later on, I think it does really go into that kind of territory, but
Especially the kitchen scene. The kitchen
yeah.
scene's a little weird for me.
Yeah.
Everybody's had that one creepy uncle. Not that he not a creepy uncle, like they do something, but they just come off creepy.
But
Everybody's had creepy uncle.
little Charlie's a little you know what I mean, as well. So
A little now we're shaming.
well, that's
A
what I
little
mean. Is
flirty, you mean?
exactly, yeah. Like she's not like
I
no alarm bells are going off in her head
To me,
when
it
that
comes
stuff is
off
happening.
as admiration for her uncle.
Right,
Like her uncle,
exactly.
in the sense, is the perfect man. Somebody that she would try to find somebody similar because she enjoys his company. And I mean, look, she wanted to call him to come to make the family feel better and stuff. So there's a little bit of idolization going on there.
That just makes it even weirder.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah. Oh, yes. I was gonna say it's a little grooming, but
exactly. And see, that's what I'm saying. You're getting those vibes from it, but is that what people watching the movie would get back then? I tend to think yes, but I can't really be sure.
This is
about
also
that.
supposed to be a sensational thriller. People supposed to shock people. So it could have been written that this relationship was supposed to make people uneasy in the theaters.
Right.
Yes.
Well, yeah, it definitely did for me. Real quick, look at this dinner set. And my great grandmother had one just like this with the glasses that had like that, the little the way the glasses are and everything. That looks so good.
Yeah, my grandmother has some. Well, they're actually right next to me, but yeah, I took them from my grandmother when we sent her off to the retirement home. Yeah, they're those things are pretty solid.
Yeah, but it's just I don't know, it's so nice.
Yeah.
Those things. It goes well with the house and everything in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody
I really
sets
wonder
dinner
what
out like
color it
this
is.
anymore.
Exactly.
Oh,
Yeah,
It's
now it'd
probably
be-
crystal. It's some
Yeah,
sort of
crystal and porcelain plates.
Yeah,
all
that's
that
what I'm saying.
stuff, yeah.
Right. And then those are, and you feel like he's got a gravy boat. Who uses a gravy boat anymore?
I have a gravy boat.
We use
But
a
do you
gravy
use
boat
it?
at Thanksgiving.
Yes, for gravy. For Thanksgiving and Christmas
Yeah,
when we have
same with my mom.
yeah.
Oh, we
My-
bring out the special china, right?
Yeah.
My great grandmother, when she had a gravy boat at almost every meal.
What did she fill it with? Gravy?
Gravy. Yeah, she made the gravy
Gravy
out
at
for
every
whatever it
meal.
was.
She lived to in her 90s.
Yeah, she was in her 90s. She cooked it. Whenever we ate, we always had dessert. She cooked a dessert for every supper meal.
Well, it's
Damn.
probably because she was very active too. God bless her, man.
Yeah. Well, she's since passed. This a while.
Well, I know, but
Yeah.
I'm saying to live that long, have dessert and gravy. But you said she was a gardener, and back then they moved a lot and were active. I'm like, God bless.
Right. Yeah, I remember I helped her harvest the corn. We had so much. I was so tired of eating corn as a kid. We'd go there for the summer. I didn't touch corn for like 5 years.
I'm from the Midwest. I understand.
ACLS studio.
Yeah. I mean, look at this guy's watch. And she was into canning too, like with the glass jars. She did all that stuff.
But
Mhm.
look at this scene. It's very interesting to me because look at the house. Nowadays, if somebody had a house like this, furnished like this, you would assume it was like $1 million house, right? In a suburb, hoity-toity family, had a lot of money. But he's like, oh, I don't own a watch. This is
Yeah, he said
pretty cool.
I've never had one, which is really weird.
That is really weird. It's almost like this scene is kind of establishing that this family is slightly quirky and just a little different sometimes. Because notice that later when they're the quote unquote surveyors, they make an emphasis on average American family or they talk about average, but like you can already tell that this family, it's wholesome, but there's something. Each person's a little different in their own little way. So it's almost like it's disarming you from the fact that Uncle Charlie is, we already have a sense or feeling that he is different, that something's weird about him. But then you see some of his family members here that it seem a little bit, they have their own little quirkiness themselves. So it's kind of like, okay, so maybe it's just a family trait then. It's kind of, it keeps you guessing, let's put it that way.
Well, Max, there's that scene where his sister's talking about how he fell and hit his head right off the bike,
right,
and stuff. I feel like that's alluding to the fact that it could have affected how he thinks now as an adult.
Absolutely.
Which made him into a murderer.
Oh yeah, he has TBI.
Mhm.
Yep.
See,
Yeah.
I mean, you've also got the fact that like as you were saying, Mags, that everyone is quirky and it has their own way. I mean, the father basically just talks about murder with his
I know.
friend.
I was like, what the heck? That's so
Yeah,
weird.
right.
No,
Yeah.
I cop it to current true crime addiction, like how people who enjoy true crime
Right,
nowadays.
because they were
This is
reading
crime.
true
Yeah,
crime like dime novels or something,
well,
right? And
like
then
funnily enough, this is how me and my friend talk, because we're both really, really into true crime, and we always just talk about stuff like this. So if you hear us out in public, you'd probably think some very weird things about us, but it's all just fun, kind of the same in the same vein as this. But it's weird to see it in a movie at this time.
as a
I'm
reminder, the man Charlie, his sister is how he's related to the family. The
yeah,
Yeah.
mother
sister's
through
the
the
oldest.
okay through the
Right.
mother. Okay,
Mhm.
Right.
Uninspired. I'm the same way. I listen to true crime to fall asleep too, and sometimes my husband comes into the room because I'll fall asleep before him, and he'll be like, "What are you? Why are you listening
Same.
to this stuff?"
Exactly the same. Because I sleep, and then my dad sometimes he walks in and he's like, "What the fuck are you falling asleep to? What is this that I hear?" It's like, "No, listen, it's nothing. It's just to help me sleep." It's like, "You're weird." I'm like, "Yeah, a bit."
But I bet it makes you more alert in public spaces and stuff and
Oh
makes you
hell
alert
yeah!
about people.
yeah, listening to
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
stuff really puts you down a rabbit hole where you're like looking around and you're like, oh, what if this? And but the chance of that stuff happening to you, or you know, like get struck by lightning kind of stuff.
They're
It
slim,
was
but they're not zero.
I've almost been struck by lightning, so
What?
I'll tell you the story later. But almost, I wasn't. Almost.
Yeah, like this scene where he's giving her the ring here, I think, right?
But
Oh,
this
this
looks like an
is.
yeah.
engagement. This looks
I know, it's
Yeah.
so
weird.
Yeah, I
creepy.
know. I know.
The way she looks at him too, like just
And
staring at
it's
his
it's a
eyes
That's
dead
and his
what I was.
woman's
lips,
ring
and
too.
his lips too. Just going
Yeah,
eyes to lips, and it's like, whoa! I thought they were gonna kiss or something. It was so weird.
that's just it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this goes past admiration. This is like, yeah,
Yeah.
Well, earlier I said this movie's not meant, it's supposed to. I think on one of the posters it was said like not for all general audience or something to that extent.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
basically, don't bring your kids to see this movie.
Yeah. It had that on the poster, the movie poster.
Mhm. So, by the way, the movie poster. Can we talk for a minute about the movie poster? Movie posters back then were fantastic. The
Oh yeah.
coloring,
Oh yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
yes.
they were beautiful, so gorgeous. They remind me of old carnival sideshow tarps that they used to present with the coloring and stuff. I love it. Nowadays, no offense, posters kind of suck nowadays.
Yeah,
They
they do.
do.
You're
They do.
unimaginative.
Yes, it
Well,
seems like
Mostly
they have the
nowadays they're
black.
just
same
Yeah.
layout.
yeah, they're just floating heads. That's it, probably.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You got the actors floating heads being like laid out, and that's it. Flaccid. I've never seen Braveheart as well, so that
Don't
means
you start,
Nadia and
Flaccid.
myself.
Yeah, don't you start. Don't bring this nonsense into this chat.
So she notices that there's a inscription in the ring.
Red flag.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Big
can't
red
remember
flag.
what
Immediately,
excuse he
yeah.
gave her for why it's there. I mean, all I would have just told her, well, it is a secondhand ring. You know what I mean? I bought it somewhere or
Well, I
whatever.
mean,
Yeah, that seems like more of a better excuse than saying, "Oh, I got duped by the jeweler. I should return it." More like, "Oh, yeah, I picked it up, from
Yeah,
an antique store or something to that
I
extent."
mean,
I
even
didn't
just saying
remember
that
him
there was a
saying that.
mix-up,
Yeah,
saying there was a mix-up
right.
with the jeweler is easier. But I mean, this for me is kind of a contrivance, because how the hell didn't he notice if he's such a meticulous killer? Wouldn't you look at the items before distributing them to your family, knowing that it can probably lead back to you, considering the fact that you're fleeing?
Maybe he thought she wouldn't notice it or something. I don't know, but
It's weird.
Well,
I mean,
it could be also
that
arrogance
seems like
too.
right, and that he
Nobody's
came up
caught me yet.
with a valid excuse, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is just one of the breadcrumbs that are now being
It's
left
like a
to
seed. Yeah.
right to where you can tie things together.
I should have kept tabs of how many red flags throughout this whole movie.
It's like he's remembering back where he got the ring from, who he got the ring from, or something.
Yeah, and by the way, when I watched this, I was like, why is there dancing in the beginning and we never go back to this and understand what this has to do with it? And then when it's revealed that he's in a sense like a widow killer, makes perfect sense then at that point.
Right.
Especially where he gets all the money and all the luxury items.
Now let me ask you, the ladies, this. Does this guy like exude like some kind of energy where he's attractive and mysterious, to where like he can just walk up and you think women would fall for this guy?
Yes.
Okay.
Similar to the books Vex and I read. Very similar to the books. If she's still in the chat, she knows what I'm talking about.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, we definitely don't want to discuss those on this.
No. But very same toxic male energy.
All right. Cool. Yeah, I suspected, but as a dude, I really couldn't tell. If
Like
I don't
Draco
know.
Malfoy's dad.
I know for me, like I don't know, like see, I'm also the type that doesn't like Anakin Skywalker. So it's like I was creeped out by him in Attack of the Clones. So I was not turned on at all.
You are missing out.
No, I don't know.
So are you more this guy with the glasses?
Yes, that's Max.
No, I don't know. I don't know. Like I always picked up on like creepy, weird vibes of like guys who just come off as weird and creepy, and I am immediately and instantly turned off by it. Maybe it's just when I was a preteen and I hit puberty and I was watching Anakin Skywalker, and from then on I just kind of go, nope, that is not attractive to me. So
but you can change them. I can change them.
oh, Nadia, come on.
So you're more
I don't want to be choked out.
It's everywhere.
Are you more of a Kylo Ren?
No,
Ooh, I'm never mind. I'm not gonna say it anymore.
no, Nadia.
What?
I didn't think so either. That was just kind of a joke.
Ben Swallow. I can do this all day, folks. Let's do this. It's probably why I have like a Starian sitting behind me somewhere.
So this is where the father and his friend start talking about killing each other. Like, well, I can put strychnine in the guacamole. He's like, and you'd never know.
I thought the scene was a little bit like, of course, on purpose, but I felt like because when at first I wasn't really sure what this weird meeting thing going on here, and then all of a sudden they're starting to talk about how to kill somebody, and it was just like, whoa, that's so jarring. Like what?
I'd hit him with a pipe.
Yeah, like it's like that threw me out of the out of nowhere or whatever. But it was just so, and it was just like so. I don't know. It's so it just threw me off. I was like, what? But that's a Hitchcock for you to really throw you a like another way of I know people just do true crime discussions all the time, but it's like this is just another layer added to the quirkiness of the family, where you're kind of going like, are you trying to throw me off the scent of this of Uncle Charlie or something with all of this
It's a red
stuff?
herring.
Yeah, it's kind of
It's
like you're
100%
trying to trick me here.
And Hitchcock does the red herring thing pretty well.
Yes.
To the point where a lot of the movies he'll have that misdirection, so it adds to the twist or the surprise. And
I mean, like it also adds to the fact that this guy Herbie, it's established that he comes over, I think every night basically, whenever they're eating dinner, and so the fact that he's a regular there can also raise suspicions for him, because it's like, yeah, it's a dude that comes there regularly. He probably knows the layout. He always speaks about murder and stuff like that. So if something begins to happen, he could probably be one of the first to blame, because Uncle Charlie, for all we know, he could probably just be running away from tax fraud or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And matter of fact,
this guy's just there for the alcohol.
Yeah.
Free alcohol.
But I remember my parents having, or like my grandparents and stuff having friends like that they were always over. And I remember as a kid, you always had that one kid in the neighborhood that was always at somebody's house eating instead of their own.
Mm-hmm.
So he sees something in the paper here, and he quickly gets rid of the paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He's like, hey, have you ever seen a house made out of a newspaper? And
It
so
was
he
a
makes
terribly done house.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
He folded it like twice, and that was it. He said that's a done job.
Look how bored she looks. She's like, whatever, boomer. Okay, boomer.
And
I'm gonna go.
she's like, "Hey, you messed up Dad's paper."
Well, it's weird because I feel like this is just incriminating himself, considering that he uses the pages specifically that he doesn't want people to read from. Because
Uh-huh.
if he had left it and it was just there, people would never associate him to the killer. It's the fact that he's trying to hide it that is his downfall. Essentially, this scene is his downfall.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, if he had just ignored it, didn't even looked at it, he would have been fine.
Well, it's actually the scene a little bit later on where she sees that. Because right now she's like, hey, give me the paper. And she's like, hey, it's missing some pages. And Dad's going to be mad or whatever. And they were like, oh, Uncle Charlie made something out of it or whatever. It's when later on we'll see that she's talking to him in his room, and she looks down into his coat pocket for some reason and sees the paper in there.
Mhm.
And that's when she knows that something's not right.
Yep, exactly. It's like, yep, it's all his fault because he was clumsy, which is weird because it doesn't line, well, just in my mind, it doesn't really line with the fact that he's someone who's gotten away with multiple murders, you know? You think he'd be more cautious.
Yes. Well,
Right.
it's weird. It almost comes off as he thinks he got away with it, but at the same time still being cautious about it. Still
Hmm.
thinking he might be tabbed.
Yeah.
Whatever. I followed. Sorry. I can't speak today. I don't know why.
Yeah, even more weird scenes with the uncle and niece.
Yeah, why is she bringing us in and then closing the door? I
Yeah,
really
that's
was
weird.
like, she's coming in here for something else.
I know, it just seems
Oof.
so weird.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
maybe I'm just really bad at reading signals from women.
I mean,
No, this is weird.
If like
This
5
close-up,
of us are
yeah.
saying it's weird, that it's really weird.
Well, but just looking at her here, what I'm talking about here in this shot, not when she's like next to him or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And she basically calls him out for the newspaper too here.
Oh,
Not the actual article, but like, hey, I know you're up to, I'm kind of feeling you're up to something. Why are you hiding something in the newspaper?
yeah, we're connected, Dee, don't you know? It's because I wanted to send you I wanted to send you a telegram, but you had already sent one saying that you were coming. So we're undoubtedly connected by some way, shape, or form, something.
Mhm.
And it's like
Right.
Yeah.
just that aspect is also what leads to his downfalls, because at that point it's curiosity. Well, I wouldn't really say, well, curiosity almost killed the cat, basically. Yeah. Almost.
I have my facts about this guy,
Yep.
this murder, what this movie is based off of, which I will share when we get to that newspaper scene. The actual true crime that it's based off of.
Yeah. So look at this. If you were just to show this picture
Yeah.
without any context, we're like, hey, here's a picture, throw it on a table. You'd be like, tell me what's going on here.
I would assume they were a couple in the movie.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah,
And I'd be like, well, she wants him to kiss her. is
Yeah,
what
look
I'm
at how
thinking.
she's looking at him.
Yeah, exactly.
I've never
Which-
looked at somebody like that except for my husband.
It's a romantic movie.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's,
if this was on the poster, you'd be like, oh well, they're romantically involved or something.
They're the item couple or whatever in the movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
so I think that this is why they put on the poster, hey, this movie's gonna not be for everybody, kind of thing.
But there's a
Yeah.
lot of creepy uncles in the theater that
Yeah.
are like, man, this is my kind of movie.
Well, I mean, it's
I'm
also
here
the
for
fact
just
that he's
comedic relief, Mags.
I know.
it's the fact that like Uncle Charlie is also quite young, you know. He doesn't look older. He just looks like I don't know, I'd say early 30s, late 20s max. That's what
Yeah,
I
early
give him.
30s.
Yeah, it was,
No more than
Yeah.
35.
yeah.
Hmm. It's like, I don't know, it's super weird.
Look at that. They got it. How old she is, and she still has to share a room.
I mean, back then that's how it
Yeah.
was, especially if you
Yeah,
had limited rooms.
it was because well, people had more kids back then than they do now normally.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, a lot more kids back then.
And usually the son is the prize of the family, usually gets his own room.
Mhm.
well, it usually, in my experience, it broke down to the genders. Like if you
Yeah,
had two
me
boys,
too.
they were always stuck in the room together, and the sister had their own room, or vice versa.
Yeah,
Um,
it was like that with me with having two older brothers. They had bunk beds for that very reason. So, yep.
yeah. Now you are right, Nadia. If you do have if the oldest one is a son, and they're the only, and there's enough room, they'll get their own room first. But then I kind of feel like that's only appropriate, you know.
I mean,
Just
I grew up with
and
sisters. I have
even the
6
the
younger sisters.
wow. Even the relationship between the brother and sister here is a little weird.
Yeah.
See, I can understand this relationship because I have a brother who is 30 years younger than I am. So to be almost a more of a mother figure than a sister,
Mm.
I can completely understand that because I believe it's established
Okay.
that he's the baby of the family. And she's much older. So I could see that
Right.
maybe she partaked in raising him just like I did with my siblings. So I can
Mhm.
understand the babying and taking care of, and especially if he is the only boy too as well.
True. Yeah, I can share that sentiment
Yeah.
too because I'm the
Okay, I can
youngest in
see
my
that.
family. I only have like an older sister. She's about 5 years older than me. But the fact of our age difference is that when I was a kid, she used to take care of me as well. So it's kind of like that. Well, at least now it's developed into something else because well, she's I guess she's 26. So yeah, I'm 21, and I mean it's a different dynamic now. But when I was younger, it was, kind of like this, like sort of a motherly figure.
Yeah, anybody who has younger siblings, I have one that's 8 years younger than me, so I change their diapers and stuff,
Mhm.
uh, and fed them, that because I was old enough to do it.
Hmm.
But wow, 30 years, I can't even imagine that.
My stepmother's only a couple years older than me.
Okay.
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 So if that helps. Yeah, yeah.
Stepmother. I was like, I thought it was like your biological mother. I was like,
No,
holy
I
smoke.
have 2 full sisters and then I have 5 siblings that are half siblings, but I don't equate it to saying half because I'm involved in their life since they were born, so they're my siblings.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I totally understand that. But yeah, but people must be like, holy wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, sometimes when I was back in Chicago and I would take him out, people thought he was my kid.
Yeah,
It's like,
I could
"No,
totally see that.
it's my brother."
But also, yeah, depending on the kind of, because there's it's quote unquote American culture, but that's not really true. It depends on where these people's ancestors came from and what kind of cultural norms they brought with them that
Yeah.
would
Right.
dictate whether the sister is really, gonna take care of him with best breakfast and bed and all that kind of stuff, or how it's gonna be as far as their interaction. Um,
Well, it could also be because he's a guest too in the house.
right, but yeah, again, that goes back to like almost like a cultural thing, how they
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
raised. So
And back then, no offense to Mags and I, men were more important back then. They they led the house. They were taken care of, mostly because they were the providers. They were the protectors, the providers. Not saying they aren't now. Obviously, I know men that are like that now, but majority of them are not. So I don't want to say they were worshipped back then, because I don't think it was just a way of saying like, hey, thank you for providing, let me make you breakfast in bed. Let me take your shoes, wash your
And
clothes for you.
The house was the domain of the wife,
Right.
Yes.
so that was her job pretty much. And his was to go out and make the money.
Right. There are a lot of cultures where that is still what happens these days, is that the inside of the house is the woman's domain and the outside is the man's domain. And there can what's Dempsey saying? Canceled.
Me, yeah.
Yeah, Nadia, what are you saying?
Not any of the men I know or any of my friends.
But yeah, but that's how things were back then. But then this is the middle of the war, so and in World War I, this is when a lot of women's roles were able to change, because they were able to go into the factories and stuff and earn their own
They had
wage.
to.
This is where they ruined it for us, Mags. Going to work.
I know.
Yeah. Yep. And then
Where the government was like, I can take money from a two-income household.
The government was like, hey, let's get all the women to go paint with like radiation essentially on knobs.
I
and
know.
shit.
And not only that, keep the women away from the children, and the children can go to school where they're amongst strangers and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, yeah.
Yeah, public schools are similar to prisons. I get you, or factories, whichever way you look at it. But yeah,
I'm not saying everybody is that, but you get my drift.
Yes.
This scene here, who?
By the way, her friend's weird.
Yes,
her friend gave me weird vibes. Just the way she looks at people.
You're talking about the one on the right?
Yeah, and then there's a later scene where she's meeting up with them with the other two detectives.
Yes,
and she
looks
like
at the older one. Yeah,
like she was like, "Hello, sugar daddy." Like, what is going on?
Yeah, she looks like she's very judgmental of everybody.
Yeah,
or she has really bad RBF. Although I do like this one lady's purse with the palm trees on it. That looks kind of
it's kind of nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I took it as that she's jealous or something of the uncle of Charlie, not the uncle, the girl.
Oh, because
in this scene, yes, because she didn't know it was Charlie's Uncle Charlie. This is so weird. Uncle Charlie, yes.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, she rolls up and she's like, "Oh look, it's a handsome guy," and I was like, "Oh, it's my friend's uncle
with Charlie." It's like,
the white hat throws you off because he's coming off as a white knight, but he's not really a white knight.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's like,
and even with like having the flower in his pocket, or the lapel there of his the collar. So
yeah, but you look at the way he's holding her arm. That's not a very loving way, or affectionate way. Forceful.
Yeah, very
way. Yeah, exactly.
Hannibal Lecter at the end of Silence of the Lambs is wearing the same kind of hat, white hat.
Yeah. Oh, when he gets off the plane. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's kind of also kind of like indicative of the ending of the movie, where she realizes, his grip means something else now than it did before.
Yep.
So it's just that right now you're seeing it through her eyes and how whimsical she is. Oh, it's her Uncle Charlie. He's finally here. Everything's going well. Then after, the same grip just turns into something else.
Right. Yep.
Passive aggressive. Yeah, I could see that in this scene here, but the way she looked at that detective, I was like, "Girl, okay,
that was a
your dad."
really weird scene. Yep.
But that's how, in my experience, how women kind of fight sometimes. It's do passive aggressive stuff like that.
No, we don't, right, Max?
What?
I said, no, we don't. Thanks for proving me wrong.
This part was pretty funny. He's like, "Are
It
you going to take a
was.
break from embezzling?" And then everyone's looking at him, and he's like, "Whoa, what?"
Yeah,
He's
but the
like,
more
"Oh,
the
don't
more and
say
more
that."
he kept joking though, it felt
Yeah.
like some of the stupid comments that sometimes I say on Twitter of like, it's just jokes, bro. But I'm just like, dude, okay, one or two comment, jokes are funny, but then he just kept going and going. And I'm like, this is even that you're making it worse for everybody around you. And he's almost doing it he's doing it
I
on
mean,
purpose to be uncomfortable.
at
I
this
thought it
time,
was
everybody remembers the Great Depression, so they're like, "Oh, don't say that in a bank."
Exactly.
Yep.
it was very
Oh
weird to
yeah.
me for this to come off very anti-government, anti-bank, what you would consider now as a conspiracy theorist, right?
Mhm.
Be written into this movie back then. I was like, oof,
Well,
okay.
especially in the middle of a war
Yep.
going on. You don't, I'm surprised that I don't know, maybe it was like a inside joke that everybody knew kind of thing because all the banks had failed um
Yeah,
in the 20s and 30s.
it could have been. It could have been. Well, I mean, even the fact that he's coming in with a huge amount of money too in
Well,
cash.
right, that's the other thing is he feels like he can just push him around because he's like, I got, 40 G's in my pocket and
Yeah. Well, he knows nobody in the bank is gonna annoy him because yeah, he's probably the man bringing in the most money that day.
mhm, right.
Her dad comes off very, I don't want to say dumb, because I don't think he's dumb, but comes off very, I don't know.
I
Dumb.
think
Like,
he lives in his head a lot.
yeah,
Like
like a
Yeah.
daydreamer or
daydream,
something.
right, daydreaming and stuff. And he's not really he's functional, but I don't think he's like really aware of what's going on too much.
Well, Charlie comes off very, I hate to use this freaking word, very alpha male, right? Very, I don't know,
Oh yeah,
Andrew Tate.
totally.
He's
Very
Yeah.
Andrew, like he subscribes to Andrew Tate.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah, right.
he's I wouldn't call
He's
him an
very
alpha.
suave.
He's very domineering and he knows how to charm a room very quickly.
He's
Well,
like
her
Cary
dad's very
Grant in a
soft.
bad way.
Yeah. And
Mm.
her dad's very soft, like you said, Shieldwall, daydreamer, not aggressive at all, not even passive aggressive.
More like he's malleable, he's moldable, like you can kind of push him around a little bit kind of thing. Yeah.
And almost
As
oblivious.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
he would be a sidekick.
and
Mhm.
I guarantee that the
Yeah.
wife is the one running the show at home.
Yes,
Yeah, because I mean, they do
Yes.
establish later on that he's only focused on work most of the time, and it's just work, coming back home, eating with his family. That same routine, except for that he has his friend, I think it's Herbie, that comes, and the only way that he can enjoy himself, like his only entertainment, is basically talking about ways to kill each other. Which I mean, yeah, it's a pretty weird life.
I hope I'm like this in an old age with my best friend, talking about ways we can kill each other.
Oh yeah.
I've had too much sugar today. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, look how he perks up when the widows walk in.
Oh
Yeah. Like he's hunting.
Fertile hunting ground here.
Right, because that's where this is where you start to get the idea. Oh, okay, he likes widows and stuff, and you're seeing that he has all this money, and he had said, "Oh, I've had some, what did he say? Some like business deals or something." And they're like, "Where'd you get all this money?" He's like, "Oh, here and there, some things I've dabbled in." He wasn't very specific about it.
The IRS now would be up his ass. Yep.
Oh yeah, back then you could get away with so much. All you had to do was open a bank account in different cities across the country, and they couldn't track you because of that. It was like you just had to have so many accounts open, and they couldn't keep track of what was going on. It was easy to dodge back then.
Yeah.
This is the time when a father could literally get up from the table and be like, "I'm going to go get a pack of smokes," walk out of the house with just the shirt on his back and his wallet, and go live an entirely separate life and
Yeah. Right.
abandon his family, and no one could find the dude
Yeah.
and like start over and actually have another family with a house and everything.
Yep.
I'm
And
very
I
surprised
can't
his
remember,
family doesn't have a dog. Oop.
did the message that Charlie the girl sent draw them to this town? I
I
can't
thought they
remember
were
if they.
chasing him, like it had a tail on him.
Oh, okay.
Same. I thought that
Right.
they were following him because I don't think that they ever established that she actually sent the message or anything like that.
Oh, okay. Okay. I just
Or
couldn't place it.
yeah, or even the fact that she completely wrote it down. I think that she was just writing it down. Then they told her, so she probably just threw it in the bin.
Right. Yeah. These guys were I think were, they just, it'd be pretty simple to follow to the train. Hey, there was a guy on here that was sick or whatever, put two and two together. I mean, that's pretty far to travel to have to just chase this lead, but
Yeah.
it was a high profile case.
I mean, it must be pretty definite it's him to follow him that far.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, then this whole other scheme they cook up to do the surveillance too. So, but these aren't the same guys from the first part of the movie, is it?
I'm not sure actually.
Yes.
I would
Yeah, I think
recognize
it is.
check it.
It is.
It is.
Yeah,
Really?
it is. Yeah.
Well, you walked by him on the street, and they wouldn't have recognized him from then.
Yeah,
Oh,
that is
I think
pretty
they knew
weird.
he was.
I mean, they
I
were
don't know.
chasing after him, and then he dodged him by going up on that balcony or whatever in the first part of the movie. So this is it. That's why I thought they weren't the same people.
Yeah, me too. That's a big reason to, or else it would be a contrivance at that point in the plot.
Right. Like they'd be like, hey, this dude, unless they needed to get evidence on him somehow or something.
I thought
but-
that's what it was, that they were following him to get a picture of him so they could send it to the authorities.
Oh, it's not the same
No,
people.
it's not the same.
It's
dude.
Okay.
mistaken.
Yeah. All
Okay.
right. All right. Okay.
Okay.
That's what I thought. Right. Because they need somehow they got a description of him or something.
Yeah, and they
Yeah.
needed
Yeah,
to make
okay.
sure to send a photo back
Right.
to confirm.
Yeah, they
with
have
the
witnesses.
Right.
Yep.
So, in the one hand, I made the statement that you could disappear and get away with a lot. But on the other hand, they had like telephones, radios, teletypes, all that kind of stuff. So, if they were onto you, they could find you.
It'd be
Yes.
hard to shake them.
Yeah, they had fingerprints and stuff like that. So, right. If you
They
ever
had
played
pictures
that
too
video-
back then.
Yeah, exactly. If you ever played the game LA Noire, then you know what I'm talking about.
So they're like surveyors, but I don't.
They're taking a survey, like when they say surveyors,
Right,
they're talking
okay.
about people that do surveys for like
Right.
government or something.
Yeah.
Max,
the-
you and I should style our hair like that for the next Dames and Dorks.
I can't do victory rolls or whatever they're called.
Yeah, those are yeah.
I have tried because I have tried to do the 40s look before with the victory rolls or whatever, and have the curled ends and everything, but I could never figure out the victory rolls. I'm also one that I don't know how to French braid my hair, so I'm just functionally done with my hair.
But yeah, it is a good look if it's done.
Well, even back then, I mean, like I said earlier, men should go back to wearing suits, but women should go back to,
I
don't
think
wanna say
women should go back to looking their best.
more conservative wear.
Yes.
Hmm.
Not a fan of the pajama bottoms to go to Walmart.
No,
No. Although victory
not
rolls,
that I don't do it. I do. I am guilty of it. There have been times, but no, we've gotten sloppy as a species.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, my father, he always dresses well to go out, and he always forces me to dress well to go out. So I've taken that from him, and now every time I go out, I have to look my best, even though it's for nobody except me. He just ingrained that in my mind.
Well,
My
it helps
dad
with
was the same way.
self-confidence. It helps with confidence because if you feel you look your best, you're going to come off more confident to the people around.
exactly.
Yeah.
True.
Exactly.
So victory rolls and yoga pants.
Victory
Oh,
rolls in
yeah.
yoga pants.
Yeah. Yeah.
Leggings were the downfall of women fat. No, that's probably not. It's one of them, but it's
It depends on what you're doing. Then I think it can look good on people if depending on what they're doing. If they're like actually doing yoga.
Sure.
Shield
Yeah.
wall.
No, but you know what I mean? It just
I know.
I can
I know.
understand the need for that comfort and
Yeah, it's hard
support
to
and
it's hard
stuff.
to do yoga in jeans. It's a little
Right,
difficult.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's some instances where, if you wear the right kind of stuff and you style it right, it doesn't look half bad.
You know what I want to bring back too? I want to bring back leg warmers.
yes.
There's nothing stopping you. You can just
Yeah, it's
bring
true.
your own, throw those
That's
bad
true.
boys on.
Dress however you want. However you want, Mags.
Yeah, Smoo. I miss when
Yeah.
I miss it the most is on airplanes. When I was
Yes.
a kid, the first time I ever flew, my grandmother made me a suit. Made it
Wow.
like
That's
with
crazy.
patterns and sewed it together. Now, it was like a mustard yellow plaid thing with bell bottoms on it. But yeah.
The airport's the worst. People don't put any effort. I think sometimes I feel the airport's worse than Vegas with what people wear to
Well,
travel
it
in.
depends on the flight as well, because I mean, whenever I've flown, I fly like intercontinental, so it's a long while. Like, so from Ghana to France, normally it's about an 8-hour trip if you're going directly, but if you're going indirectly, that can last about 24 hours if you have stops. One time it lasted me 24 hours, and man, if you're dressed, well dressed, oh my god, it is horrible after a while.
Yeah, I had to wear my dress uniform to fly to Japan, and it was terrible.
Yeah.
Because
Hmm.
that thing, you got like medals that they pierce through your jacket. And you got to put the little frog things on the back to hold them on, and those things are popping off. You got a tie, and you just look like crap when you're done at the end because it was almost like it was almost like a 24-hour flight, and you're so
Hmm.
much better just being in like sweatpants or something. But
Yep.
that's not, and my shoes were all scuffed. You had to shine them and stuff back then. So yeah,
Remember when you could smoke on planes?
yes, I do. I do. As a matter of fact, that first time that I ever flew as a kid, there were people that had the cigarette ashtray things in the hand rests,
Mm-hmm.
and people were lighting up. There was no real smoking section. So, but then again, that was on Allegheny Airways, which doesn't exist anymore, and it actually went under like 2 years after I flew on it first. So,
Mm.
well, it didn't go under; it got absorbed by United or something.
You can tell these policemen when they're in the kitchen with the mother, they're like, "This is not where we want to be. We want to go upstairs."
Yeah, especially
Check out the
the
uncle.
cameraman Fred. He's really pissed off every time the mother speaks. He's like, "Oh, come on, man, come on." It's like, "No, you
You
have
just
to
wait.
wait till I break the egg." It's like, "No, you have to wait for the perfect moment." It's like, "Oh my god."
Oh yeah, but she was really interested in telling him how this was done, and he just didn't
Hmm.
care, you know. Whereas she was explaining, that's her area of expertise.
Yep,
She was
Yep.
proud of it,
he had a
and
job to do.
exactly, and she should be proud because she actually had a valuable skill. She knew how to cook and cook well.
Yep.
That's a rarity these days, unless you're
Especially
like a
making
Ooh.
chef.
eggs.
Yeah. Well, she was
I
she was
mean,
gonna whip something up, right? Like something,
yeah, she was making a cake.
yeah, like fluffy.
Yeah.
Yeah, trying to fluff it up.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like this shot here. Just the way the frame of the window is
Is that from
shadowed
a
on the wall
skylight
behind him.
or something?
No, I
That's what
think
it
it's
looks
just
like.
the
Yeah.
window.
Oh,
Maybe.
Yeah, I think it's the window in the corridor with the shadow, because there's another shot later on where you see depending on the lighting, the window is really, really elongated, so it can cover the entire hallway. Yeah,
Yeah.
it looks good.
Women's slacks.
That's right, Gordon. It's women in slacks. And I do think it's kind of a little, it's kind of interesting how women can wear men's clothes and it still looks good on them.
True.
Depending on, but doesn't work the other way around.
Yeah, my
I don't know.
sister
I
used
look
to
like a
steal my
lumberjack
clothes all
man.
the time. Oh, like my sister still steals my clothes to this day because I'm just bigger than her, and man, it fits perfectly on her, even though on me it just looks like nothing, you know.
Yeah. Well, if you look like a lumberjack, Nadia, you got to stop wearing plaid,
But I love it.
flannel.
I love
Yeah,
it.
that's the other. Yeah, it just works. It's good.
It's my
So
Midwest
they
blood.
get a picture of him here, and he's like, he goes up and takes the film from him.
Yep.
Red flag.
Fine.
Oh yeah, he's like, give me the film. I don't want you taking a picture of my stuff or whatever. And
Look at her face.
yeah,
It's no
just like,
longer admiration or any type of weird love towards him. Look, she's like completely shocked, almost disgust.
Well,
that
did y'all
Yeah.
notice when
What?
she tries to hide how she flinched from her wrist too, in
Mhm.
this scene from when he got mad at her in the bedroom or whatever? It's kind of like she instinctively goes and touches her wrist,
Mm-hmm.
not
Yeah,
because she's in
it makes her
pain, but
think
it's
about it.
exactly, it makes her think about it. She kind of flinches because now that worldview, so to speak, is now shattered because he's not as nice as he
right.
comes.
The mask has slipped,
Yeah.
and she's seen
Yeah.
behind it a little bit.
Yep.
And for him, there's no real way to hide it because this is a scene where he's forced to
Look at
unveil
her
the mask.
Yeah, look at
Yeah.
her face. She's like, huh?
What's going on here?
Mhm.
Which it seems odd, but I guess photography back then was one very expensive to develop,
Oh yeah.
and people didn't have new photos of their family members. It just seems odd that like nowadays she could have just went down. Oh yeah, I got a ton of photos of my Uncle Charlie. Here you go.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Or even you had like Polaroids back in the in the 70s or whatever, would come out, then you develop, you had to shake it, get it
Yep.
developed. Even though they say don't shake it, that's a lie. You have to shake it, otherwise it doesn't
Oh,
come out.
100% that's a lie, man.
Shake it
I
like a
used to take
Polaroid.
pictures with a Polaroid.
Yeah.
Hell no, that does not work if you don't shake it.
Yep.
Shake it like a Polaroid picture.
Yeah. Now see, the mother looks a little younger here, I think, in this shot.
I think it's the hair and the costumes and probably the contrast of makeup back then because it was done on black and white, so they
Right.
had to wear very heavy
yeah.
contrasting makeup.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. True. And yeah, in the first scene, she was wearing like all black, so it does change a bit.
Yeah, here's this girl again.
Hey, Lance. Yeah. Yeah, Catherine is back again. I mean, just imagine Catherine, because at this point in time, so young Charlie has told Catherine that she's sick, and that's the reason why she's not going out with her. But then she meets her outside of a restaurant with another guy, which is
Yeah.
good looking again. It's like, my God, what are you up to?
And towns like this gossiped about people.
Oh
So,
yeah.
like if she's being seen with multiple men, she's
It's not
probably being
good.
gossiped about. Yeah. And she also already, like you said earlier, family's a little quirky, so I'm sure she's known as being a little quirky. So yeah.
Is that Bank of America?
Yep, it is. Some nice
Yeah.
product placement, Bank of
Alright, yeah.
America. Hell
Yeah.
yeah.
Is this where he tells her who he is?
I think so, yeah.
Yes. Well, does he tell her or does she deduce who he is?
I think she deduces.
Yeah, it is pretty weird. I mean, for me personally, I think that it's weird the fact that she deduces it so fast. But it does coincide with the fact that, well, she saw Uncle Charlie's real face and it did raise suspicions. But I don't know. I feel like this is a bit premature. The fact that she's realizing that, oh yeah, he's a detective out for my Uncle Charlie.
I think she's still conflicted and can't believe that there's actually something going on with him. But the evidence that she has in his actions are, you know, like it's
Enough for her.
undeniable, right? You can't really. So she's in that period of confliction right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even these night shots, they're all really, really good. I would think that are they? Do you think that they're actually shot at night, or do you think it's what do you call it, day for night or night for day? I keep forgetting which one.
Probably day for night, if I was to guess by the type of lighting
Hmm.
Right.
and how well it's lit on their faces.
The giveaway is always the shadows. That's how you can tell. If
Mhm.
they're really, really, really bright, like dark shadows, that means that it was day for night. But I don't know. It looks kind of good here. Black and white helps also.
Right.
Yeah, it does.
I really feel like it's dark out, because otherwise these lights wouldn't be so bright, and those street
Yeah,
lamps in the background would look weird.
true.
Yeah.
Relationships back then moved real fast because felt like in the scene like he was ready to ask her to be
Yeah, I
married. Like,
know.
hey,
But it's also in the movies where I guess they didn't have 3-hour movies. Well, they did, but most movies weren't 3 hours like they are
Mhm.
these days. So they had to kind of speed things up a little.
Yeah, the pacing's different. At least they do show the passage of time with the night and day stuff and all the shadows and everything.
Right,
So it makes it
right.
feel like not this is not all shot and done in like a day or two. It seems like there's a semblance of time to it.
Like this
Um,
shot almost feels like they did it in a studio.
Yeah,
yeah,
with the set in the background.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
that's
yeah. With
probably
us.
just
yeah,
it.
Yep.
the fake trees and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's
Where
probably
There-
to get the shadows properly because if you shoot this outside, then you probably have to factor in wind and all of that stuff. So
oh yeah.
it's easier to shoot in the studio.
And not only that, but it was harder to do. I mean, it was possible, but it was much harder to have shots. You wanted to do particularly night shots, but you needed all these lights. But then
Hmm.
your lights mess up the night shot, so it's kind of like you have to fake it inside, basically.
Yep.
And a lot of times, especially back in the day, black and white, especially for black and white movies, um, but then also for colorized movies too, they would shoot the film. If they wanted their outdoor shots, but they would shoot the film, but then they would put a filter over it to show a night, quote unquote, night scene, even though it was done outside. It was done during the day.
Yep. Yeah, pacing has always been great in old movies because well they had to move fast and they had to deliver coherent stories because the public back then was more demanding and they could sniff out bullshit faster. Now we just eat bullshit basically.
so you're
Well, I
telling
mean,
I
me
love. Yeah.
you could
uh,
tell a story in less than 2 hours? I don't
yes.
believe you.
And not
No.
and not only that, you're telling me that they didn't stare off into the distance and fold their arms constantly?
Or check their phone in the cinemas, who knows?
I mean,
Yeah.
I tell you what, during Oppenheimer, I saw so many people checking their phones. I'm not lying.
That's
Oh,
crazy to
man,
me.
that's crazy.
What were you going to say,
I
Jacob,
like
about this cop?
I like how the people she runs into on the street, she knows them, and they're like, "What are you doing out so late?"
Oh
Like
yeah.
it's not normal for her to be out this late.
These are
Well,
pretty big buildings for a town to be this small, though.
Yeah.
but
True.
you can tell later, like the family is somehow it's very involved in the community and in the city itself. So they're probably well known enough where people know a lot of people. Um, it's it's not it's not as uncommon as people think today.
Be right back, y'all.
Especially
Yeah,
when if you're especially very involved in your community, and whether it's charities or all this other stuff, people end up finding you or knowing your name or whatever. But I mean, who knows? It's kind of one of those things where that this is definitely giving the impression that it's a small town, but yeah, the big buildings in the background kind of make it. Again, the town is kind of quirky. So
Right.
it's quirkiness the character in the film. Like a lot of times that can be the case too.
Unless that's like some kind of town hall. But even look how big that is. That's just, It's giant. That's not something like a town
Yeah, it's like
hall in a
the
small
clock
town.
tower from Back to the Future size stuff, you
Oh,
know?
it's
It's
Yeah,
not it's not
it's bigger
Bedford
than that.
Falls like It's a Wonderful Life kind of thing. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's more like Pawnee um from Parks and Rec, where they had, look at this
Yes.
house. Look how big
That's the
that is.
library, actually.
Yeah.
yeah. Or is
I
that
mean,
Bank
even the
of America
library is
back there?
huge.
Yeah, that's the Bank of America behind her.
I kind of like that
left-
library. I want to visit
Yeah.
it.
I mean, even in big cities back then, there were neighborhoods and places that were acted like a small town out in
That's
the
true. New
country.
York is
too.
like that a lot, I think.
Oh yeah, that's all the communities up there. I mean, because my family came through Ellis Island. So there was the Polish communities, the Italian
Mhm.
part of New York City. There's the Irish up there too. So it's kind of they formed their own little neighborhoods, and you're right, they had their own little almost mini cities.
Yeah, look how cool that library building is with
I
all
love
the
it. Can
ivy
I own it?
on it.
Yeah, Free Public Library. That's conveniently closes in tune with the music as well. You just have the lights going off as the notes are ringing too. That's
Yeah.
pretty good again.
I'm surprised it stayed open till 9 at night.
I mean, there was nothing else to do, man. People needed to get their books and read.
Now she totally looks like a librarian.
Yeah.
I've been a librarian since 1890.
She's also been in several different movies too. That actress there.
Yeah. Is
I
she
s-
the ghost in Ghostbusters? at the library?
That's pretty
Oh
good.
my gosh.
I've seen that movie.
I remember going to the library and having these like newspaper things, except me and my brother would sword fight with them.
Oh, jeez.
You'd go and cause chaos in the library.
Yeah.
Did you
Well,
get kicked out, Shieldwall?
No, because there was like a back area back there. Libraries didn't care. It was so big.
Yeah.
I loved going to the library as a kid. Man,
Oh.
just, my parents could just drop me off there on the weekends and I'd be fine. Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
Yeah. Dun dun dun.
Every widow murderer. Nationwide search underway for strangler of 3 rich women. Hey, 3.
So the playwriter, this is based off a real life murder of Earl Nelson, America's first known serial sex murderer of the 20th century. He would prey on old landladies along the East Coast, posing as like a meek-mannered lodger before murdering and assaulting them, with a known 22 killings to his spree before he was barely caught. Yeah.
Wow.
Dun, dun,
So this was
dun.
back when it's have Airbnb now. People just have an extra room in their house and they'd put a sign out
Yep.
front saying room for rent. And you could say, okay, I'm going to provide my own food or you'll cook for me and whatever. And a lot of it was done by widows because when their husband died, they had a house, but they didn't have any other source of income. So
Yep.
it was easy. And you see that in so many movies where it's a woman that has a lodging house and it's for that reason.
Yep.
Yeah, and Nelson is still considered to this day one of the most prolific murderers in American criminal history.
Hmm.
I feel like that says a lot because we tend to have a lot of serial killers in the
Have you
United
seen a
States.
picture of him
That's
or
what I was
anything?
thinking too.
Let me take a look.
Because, just to see what he looked like.
I think wasn't there another Alfred Hitchcock movie or something? There was another movie I saw a couple months ago or whatever, where it's also based on it's all based on a book about an actual murderer too. So he took a lot of inspiration for a lot of these
Yeah, I wouldn't
things.
be surprised if that was the case. Although,
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen everything that Hitchcock has made, but there's a lot of different movies that I do like that he did.
Jacob, do you mind if I share the screen?
Oh.
Oh, is it?
I think he might have stepped. There he is. That's him.
Kind of looks like
He was,
Houdini a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I thought. Gave me Houdini vibes right away.
Yeah. But this is so he did all this in the 20s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's
1920.
that's very 20s kind of, yeah, kind of thing.
Oh yeah. He has that weird look. Yeah. The
The Merry Widow murderer.
Yeah, they could have given him a cooler name because I don't know, man. A lot of serial killers actually have really cool names, which is horrible. Because I think this is something that we need to stop doing. Stop giving serial killers the coolest fucking names you could think of. The Merry Widow is kind of weak. Kind of weak.
Is that what his name? Oh, okay. Gloucester, Massachusetts, the 12th, January 12th. Okay. Well, I'm
Mm.
assuming it's the same year then.
The Merry Widow.
Yeah, it's like, and I think the what's it called? The Bruce Matheson. The name is the one that's engraved on the ring, and that's how she finds out.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because she
That's-
takes a ring off right now and looks at it. Yeah.
Yeah,
That
it
was
was
an emerald,
engraved.
right?
Yes,
Or a
it
sapphire.
was.
It's hard to tell with the.
I think he said it was an emerald because he talked about
Okay,
it being green.
Right, right.
Yeah. It's her friend that confirms it. Her friend Louise at the bar that they go to later on. She says, "Yeah, I know this is real. This looks real." And I don't know. She starts saying her life story at the same time, which is kind of weird.
So if she's going into a bar, she has to be over 18 then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. In America, isn't it 21?
No,
No,
not
back then, there were some states where 16 was allowed to be, like, it was based on states and their
Right.
laws. It was only in the 80s when the 21 thing came around. But back then, like, you could be 16 years old and drink if you're in one state, or you could be 18 in another state. It's just depending on the state age
But
restrictions.
18 was the federal limit for all the country. If the
But
state
it
didn't
was
have any, yeah,
if the state didn't have it, but it was always based on states
right,
first.
right,
So
Oh, okay.
exactly. And then
Pretty weird that they bumped it up to 21.
well, it was
we've been
because of all the
yeah.
because of all the
I still think it's
actors and
dumb,
stuff.
but anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I'm European. People here, at the age of like what, 15, 16, that's probably it for them.
Yep.
Her body language here as she
Oh,
walks out is just
this is what
great
when I'm talking about with, like, the shadows and the angles, how he does this cinematography, like this lengthening of the shadows going on, and it's kind of makes you feel very overwhelmed and feeling very, like, wow,
small.
very small in the grand scheme of things, of realizing your world has been shattered.
Mhm.
I mean, look at this.
I totally agree. I mean, just the fact that she has her elongated shadows, like your former self is fleeting away, or your former life, your perception of who you were and what the person was is just going away from you, and it's out of your control. It's kind
Yeah.
of good. Man, this house is huge.
Right?
It is.
Really massive. Jesus. Well, the dad does work he does work at the bank, so that could be,
But
some
he's
help.
he's like a teller at the bank, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
He could do teller and maybe does something else, but
Hmm.
or like I said, this house was like really cheap, or maybe they inherited it.
Yeah, that's
True.
possible too.
Yeah. Yeah, then she right now she's completely scared of him. Basically, she doesn't want
Yeah.
to she doesn't want anything to do with him at this point, and
Well,
she
because
hasn't
she's
even
so
had.
disgusted.
Yeah, exactly. It's. I think that even though it was really weird at the beginning, I don't think that it would have been as impactful now if it wasn't super weird before. I don't know how they would have made it work.
Well,
as
it's
much.
well, especially now, to your point, especially now, you feel very super awkward and even more uncomfortable at this point. You're kind of going,
Mhm.
"What?" Like you're even the
Yeah.
audience is getting that world shattering thing going on. It's like, "Oh no, like get away, get away, get away." Like that's kind of your reaction.
Yeah, she's even trying to push away her little brothers, her little brother and sister. It's like, oh yeah, I don't want to sit next to him. It's like, yeah, don't sit next to him. Just let your little brother try and sit next to him. Just go
Yeah.
away.
Something else I just realized, man, he packed all these different suits he's got into
Yeah.
that one box.
Right? I was thinking the same thing.
He's literally every scene he's in something different.
And they're so like clean and pressed
Yeah.
and very, well put together. I'm surprised.
Yeah, his shirts are perfect.
Oh yeah,
Look
pristine
at that
condition.
look on his face there.
Oh yeah.
There's a scene later on where they're getting in the taxi and her mom's like, I can't understand the steps and now this. I think she starts to kind of realize something must be going on, but she like pushes it away, pushes it out of her mind because this is her baby brother.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do get that. I do get that too. Because the you can tell that her daughter and the daughter and the mother have a certain bond between them, whereas the mother wouldn't really just brush off the daughter for mundane things. So she'd actually listen to her and respect her opinion. But at that point, you can just tell that there's sort of a rift because she just doesn't want to believe that it's her little brother that's capable of doing something, and maybe she thinks that it's the incestuous things. Maybe she thinks it's that because she's not sure if I don't remember correctly if she has confirmation that he is a killer or not, but maybe that's what she's thinking about in her mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. But everybody's a little uncomfortable now with Uncle Charlie.
Mhm.
Uncle Charlie is
Slightly.
wearing out his welcome here.
Oh yeah,
She
Uncle
kind of
George.
teeters for a little bit too on if it's
Yeah.
true or not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that seed has been planted already. And then
Yep.
so everything he does will can either fertilize it a little more.
Yeah. So you just need a slight nudge to push you in the right direction. That's it. And also you can also use this. Well, I think that Alfred Hitchcock uses it well because he emphasizes on his weird mannerisms now. Well, he doesn't really emphasize on his he emphasizes on his already established weird mannerisms to make them perceived as even weirder. Well,
Mhm.
look at the way he zooms in on his face, and you don't have this type of thing, this type of cinematography before to enhance the audience's vision.
Yep, we go from quirky uncle to creepy uncle.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Very
Scary
creepy
uncle.
uncle. Yes, scary uncle. And absolutely no life in those eyes.
Right. And now she's getting what do the kids call it these days? The ick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
but
the scene
what
in
that really
Jaws.
means is
He's
that now
he's got
now your hackles are raising at this point. You're kind of like,
Right.
what is going on with this dude?
Mhm.
it's like in Jaws, the guy talking about the shark. It's like a doll's eyes.
Right. Yeah, he looks like so right now in his mind, this is what I'm getting from the scene, is he's like, how do I get rid of her? That's what he's
Yeah.
plotting right now, is how to neutralize her. Not necessarily, I don't think necessarily kill her if he doesn't have to, but how can he, you know, neutralize the threat that she's now starting to pose?
Yeah, because it's not even a fully formed threat, but it's just
Right.
raising suspicion on both sides.
And
So
also kind of like the feeling of how dare she not, totally be in love with me and fall at my feet at everything I say and do, because she's not going to do that anymore.
yep. And then you've
And
got
then
him coming back
we have
too.
the caveat here. Oh, did you notice anything tasting funny?
About your tea? Yeah, he's like, I put soda water in it, just enough as if it was poison.
It's like, yeah, I didn't notice it. It's like, okay. Like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like if you follow the timeline of events after the movie, these guys probably killed each other like 10 years down the line for sure.
Probably.
Like just play it, just like, haha, you ate that mushroom finally. Oh no.
It's like, oh no.
It's like, hey, you had the mushrooms, like, oh, and you drank the poison. Oh, well, I guess we're both dying in 5 minutes. Cool.
I think the other thing that is interesting about this dinner table is what they're eating. It doesn't look like they're suffering from any kind of rationing at all,
Mm-mm.
which this would have been
Cake.
the height of rationing. Like that would have been like a month's worth of rations to make that cake.
True.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. Sugar, all of that. This bottle of champagne. Actually, I'm not sure if booze was rationed at all. I don't think it was. But yeah, so the fact that they have all this kind of stuff is maybe it's left out of it so that people don't have to think about it in their daily lives. You know what I mean? And
Yeah. I love this. She gets after them for talking about how to kill each other. And the dad's like, what's the big deal?
Yeah, it's
This
just
is
like,
true crime. Just talk. I mean, this could be a podcast. These two could literally have a true crime podcast
Yeah.
nowadays.
that's what they do now is they would
Mhm.
have a podcast. Yep.
they'd probably get banned for actually suggesting different ways of murdering people.
And look
Yeah,
how look how big this is. Not a small town.
Yeah,
it
it
looks
seems
great.
outdoor scenes seem to get busier and busier as we follow her at night. Like the previous night, not so busy. Now it's like a party happening outside.
There he goes with his hand again.
Yep.
And the cops like oblivious, like, hey, what's up?
Yeah, because
Yeah,
it's the
and
exact
the
same
difference here
position.
too, the difference between how the policeman treated her too. They just went for a walk and he was very polite, and even when he told her who he was and why he was there. And then we switch to this and he manhandles her and takes her to a bar.
And now, do you notice now she's starting to recognize the physical aspects of his aggression? She's feeling very
Right.
small and vulnerable and not as whimsical as she once was.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
This bar too, tables for ladies.
Well, yeah, that was to let him know that it was, it was welcoming. It had tables specifically for ladies so that you could go there and not, you didn't have to like muscle your way to the bar like a lot of
Yeah.
places you do nowadays.
Yeah, and like, I mean, they finally enter the bar, and yeah, this is her friend Louise that I think confirms the ring and that it's authentic basically, because she says that she'd recognize, I think it's an emerald anywhere or something like that, and yeah, that basically just continues to add water to the seed that's been planted.
Yeah.
The other thing that's interesting about this movie is that being 1943 is the distinct lack of people in uniform.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
that's
There's a few like in the background and stuff, but
yeah, it's true. But
Yeah.
I mean, back then, cinema was really considered as escapism, so they probably just didn't want people to think about the
exactly, that's
ongoing
what I'm
war.
thinking, because otherwise my question would be is why isn't this dude drafted right now?
Yeah,
yeah.
Uncle Charlie, what? I
Yeah,
mean, he would be pretty good
he's
on the front line now.
Exactly. He's prime military fighting age for the draft.
yeah, for sure.
That's an interesting. I did not realize that. That's a good point. Yeah, he should be overseas.
Or at least in uniform. Doesn't have to be overseas, but at least
Oh,
in uniform.
yeah.
And but again, I think that they deliberately left this out so that people could focus on the story and not, you know what I mean, all the other things.
Yeah,
I just find it interesting. Is all.
The
no,
way he
I
twists
I
the
agree with
paper
you.
like he's stretching it.
Right.
Mhm.
I thought he was making an origami thing or something because he
Same.
made that little house out of the newspaper. I thought he was doing some kind of like, you know, um, some kind of thing like in Blade Runner. The guy would always make the little things and put them down or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well. But then no, it's what he says. He's just like imitating strangulation. And at this point,
Mhm.
I think that you've completely just you've sold yourself out. We know it's you now.
And she realizes it too. I mean, just look at her face. It's
Hmm.
just it's disgust, it's disappointment, it's, world shattering. It's, she's also very scared and trying to figure out how to get herself out because
Yep.
she's kind of like, think about this. They're not in a regular table where it's easy for her to escape. She's in a booth as if he's entrapped her.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I
And
really
then
like.
even this girl say, "I would kill for something like that."
Yeah, I really like the waitress's hair as well. Maybe it's just
Mhm.
the angle that it's at, but
Yeah, I like the hair too.
Yeah.
It must take hours to make hair like that.
I'm gonna learn how to do victory rolls. I'm gonna do it.
I know, and now I want to do it, but then I'm gonna be a slob because I don't know what I've tried. Nadia, you're gonna have to do like a what do you want to call it? A tutorial
Tutorial.
to yes,
well,
yes.
well, these women all did it at home, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
guess you could go to the salon or whatever.
No,
But
I'm gonna do it at home.
yeah,
You
No,
know
it
who
would
I'll
be less
ask, Max?
expensive. What?
I'll ask Danny, comics and cosmetics.
Oh, yes.
She probably knows.
Yeah, there you go.
I know she knows how to do it because I've seen pictures of her
Yeah.
with her hair like that.
Mm. And this is like this is pretty. Just the way that everything is filmed is so good, and it's just as you guys were saying before, the juxtaposition, it's becoming completely clear now.
Mhm.
Because everything that he used to do before, which was all lovey-dovey, nice, it's just
Yeah, and
completely like the opposite now.
yeah, and like they were before, they were straight on facing each other. Now they're both askew from each other.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. Yep.
Man, it's like it's still, again, it's just the fact that he's dominating every position, the fact that he's also dominating the conversation in every way as well. It's like, oh no, you can't leave because, well, I can just get rid of you, or either I can just stay, and I know your mother is closer with me, and who's she gonna believe between us, her little brother or her daughter? She's probably gonna choose, the little brother.
Well, yeah, because in the beginning, the scene when her father comes into the room, it's kind of established that they think of her like a daydreamer, somebody who not to be taken seriously. That's their daughter, little quirky in the brain.
Mhm.
Wow, look at the hat her friend
Look at
has
that
on,
hat.
and she's looking at this dude like, hey.
Which
Hey.
is so
That's
weird
what I'm
too. It's
saying.
like,
This is a
why
weird.
him?
Yeah, I mean, he's old enough. He looks old enough to be her father. Okay, he looks old
Yeah.
enough. He might not be, and I know people aged differently back then, but I don't think that's a jealousy look. That's like a
But
Hey, how
also,
you
looking
doing?
for a ring look.
like back then, though, well, I mean, I guess farther back, you'd have guys that were like 30-year-old dudes marrying 18-year-olds and stuff. Um,
Yep.
So I don't know. Maybe who knows?
Yeah.
She just also might just be one of those kind of women that likes older men,
Yeah.
or the kind of women that likes any men.
Could also be a way to escape her town. Like, hey,
Right?
gotta marry this
Exactly.
guy.
Yeah.
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 Yep.
Definitely.
Oh yeah, he is someone that, well, they've established several times that it is a small town where people know each other. So the fact that you have an out of towner it's a big help as well.
But
Yeah.
I would surmise that guy on the right is definitely married, though.
He's married. He probably has 3 kids and everything already.
Yeah.
Look at him. He looks at least like 45. There's no way. Even gloves, the fact that they have gloves on, That's pretty something that well, I don't know if women still wear any. I haven't seen.
Nah, that's not a thing. That went out of fashion.
Oh,
Yeah,
But
I've seen very few women wear gloves, but not many.
I would totally wear gloves again. 100. If it was in fashion and it wasn't looked upon as something weird, 100% would.
oh, like I was walking down the street the other day, and there's this like gorgeous woman walking by, and she was completely dressed like she came from the from the 40s or 50s. I was like, wow, it was a shocker. But everyone was looking at her in the street.
you can find that now. There's a lot of hipster people that do that kind of stuff, that are really into that style. It depends. You got to go to
Rockabilly.
a big city, to really see that, like parts of LA and stuff like that, or Austin or something.
Yeah, I think Lana Del Rey helped bring it back.
Yeah. Yeah. She looked really good in that stuff, though.
Here they are talking about how to kill each other again.
They're just enjoying life. Well, at this point, they are saying that they found the suspect of the Merry Widow. I think that's his name.
Yeah, there was another suspect. So there were two, and there were two possibilities. And the first guy was on the East Coast, and he died when he tried to run from him, and he ran into a propeller and got like chopped up.
Oh,
Yeah,
So
at the airport.
right. So that means they can't identify him by the picture. So, but they're like almost like, well, case closed. So he feels like maybe the heat is off of him a little bit. That's kind of the impression that I got.
Yeah. Look at
This is
this
a great
shot.
shot.
This
Yeah.
is just great.
This is beautiful. Because it's
It is.
she's looking up, and it's her uncle's bedroom's up this way. He's up this way, and it's just like the terror of it. And I think the music. There's a note that plays on this too. When we're looking at this shot, it's just gorgeous. Shadowing,
is.
perfect.
It is. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, even the shot where they show the uncle next is really good too, because there's the shadow of the window that's behind him, which is like great as well. Then yeah, she's waiting on Jack. I think that's supposed to pass by.
And is it me? Does Uncle Charlie come off a little jealous? Not so much that I understand he's worried because this guy's a detective, but it comes back to this weird relationship that they both have.
Uh-huh.
A little bit jealous that
Mhm.
Jack here is courting, his niece.
Right. Yeah. He wants her affection to be on him. Just because of he's a kind of like a narcissist too.
Yeah, he is.
So yeah. So he doesn't want to share her attention with anybody. He doesn't want her attention to be on anybody else,
Yep.
because that hurts his ego and whatever.
Yeah. Well, it is understandable because he is kind of a psychopath, basically, and the fact that they establish it weirdly with their relationship and having him just have that, because it's also his perception that was changed, because we got her perspective, but it's both of their perceptions that completely change. The only aspect that we get showing that his perspective on her has changed a bit was the zoom in that we commented on, and that's pretty much it. But he's slowly transcending into yeah, I'm gonna kill her, and because I don't know, I just want to, I guess.
I can't remember why they came into this garage.
He wanted to propose, I think.
She saw her mom's glove when they were right at the opening of the door. She looked in, and her mom's glove was sitting in there. So that's how they got in there.
Okay.
Okay.
But wait, this dude's trying to propose to her already?
Well, he wants to, I guess.
I mean, but Shieldwall back then, it wasn't like we think it's quote unquote fast, but back then it like people knew what they wanted in life. Today people don't. So
Yeah.
when you find somebody and you're instantly attracted, and it's not even necessarily infatuation. We can clearly see he's responsible, he's reliable, and she's clearly seeing beyond the weirdness of her Uncle Charlie, basically.
Also, I think her her prospects are not as many as there are now, where you can just get on a dating site and have
That's
a
what I
Well,
was
it,
just gonna say.
guys on
Yeah.
there.
yeah.
Option communities you used to date within your community,
Yep.
marry within your community, maybe a town over, but now people see that there's so many options for them that they think like, oh, I can always get better. Oh, I don't need to
Exactly.
settle down.
There's
Yeah.
there's more fish in the sea,
Well,
basically.
if
Yeah.
you've ever watched Fresh and Fit, you know that's true.
Or the whatever podcast. Yeah.
Right. Yep. Look, he's got another suit on. Where did he get this one?
Yeah.
Do you
Oh,
think
dude.
maybe he's borrowing the suits from her dad, or maybe they had a bunch of guest men's suits? I don't know.
No, I
You know,
doubt
this-
maybe.
Maybe he's buying them
this
in
could
town
be
there.
now that
That's a good point. He's so
He-
rich, maybe he's just rolling him up.
that's what I mean. And see, he needs to be careful because he's almost like every scene he has a new suit on, which is a telltale that he has money. And where did he get it? So
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, if this movie was made now, we would get a montage of him buying suits. We would get
Yeah.
like
Right.
a filler of a few minutes that don't need to be in this movie of him just buying suits.
Well, he'd go shopping with young Charlie. They'd probably do that at the beginning of the movie when it's all like nice and whimsical a bit to show their relationship. They'd probably do it through that montage.
Yes. Yep.
Houndstooth.
I think that's the style of the suit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I usually
Uh-huh.
see it on women's wear more often these days. The houndstooth pattern, like
Ooh, I
power
love
suits
this.
and stuff.
Love the scene where she falls down the stairs on
Oh
accident.
yeah, that tells you
quote
that-
unquote.
Yes, the stair that breaks a bit. I think in half.
And here he is in plain sight, and he just moves out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's just waiting.
yeah, he wanted to see her fall because he's so narcissistic too. If you think about it.
Yes, that's true because he strangled the widower, so he was facing them.
Yep.
And I think there's a scene
Yeah.
was where he's looking at he drops his cigar and he's looking at his hands, and then I think reminiscing over it while looking at
Mhm.
Charlie. So
Yeah.
you're right, Mags. He's egotistic, like he wants to see his work finished.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Duh. I mean, at this point, everyone is on edge because she's grabbing the flashlight to go and check to see if it was an actual murder attempt or if it was just a casual thing. Well,
Yeah.
that can actually happen.
Yeah, it can actually happen. It was just a bit of a coincidence with him standing at the bottom.
Oh yeah. I mean, and then after you've got this scene, man, where the use of shadows is incredible because she's a bit in
It
the
is.
light while he's basically in the complete darkness. He's just staring her down, and you also have the height difference that you can factor into it, and it just adds so much intensity to what he's saying. And I think they both sell their roles, especially in this scene, pretty well, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's telling him, you should go leave. You should go. I don't want you here. I wish you were dead in a sense. And he's like, no, I think I'm going to stay. And it's almost like a cat and mouse game.
Yeah.
Well, it's again the narcissism in him. He wants to finish his work. He wants to be. He likes being this little center of attention and everything else in between. And
It's the
I mean,
control as well.
exactly. So it's about control. It's about being the center of attention. It's the ego. It's everything. It's all. She wants him to obviously go away because she knows he needs to get gone because he's a threat. So
Yeah, no, I mean, even just the way that they're standing, she's up against a pillar while he's just pushing up towards her, free to roam wherever he wants, while she's just stuck and she can't
she's
move.
entrapped. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
The other thing about this is he now has decided to stay here because originally he was just going to hide out here for a while and then bounce out. somewhere.
Yeah,
That's the
but
impression I got.
And now
he
has
was
a new
because of
prey.
the
Right.
yeah,
And he
because he's
wants
off
to
the hook.
stay. Right.
And
Exactly. Because the other
another,
guy, they were like case closed or whatever. But eventually he can't help himself. He's going to repeat offend. And then unless he keeps it under wraps, he's going to have to flee again. Here, look, now he's got a tux on.
yeah, and we get another attempted murder here.
Yeah.
Well, they have a tux on because it's it's a evening thing
Right.
out or some
Yeah.
sort of lecture, which is
Yeah,
typical. Like,
speech or something.
yeah, when people went out for something special like that, most, and especially even at night, guys and gals would dress up for a night,
Mhm.
anything
What I don't get
nighttime.
is why did she go in there when
I think she was going to get the car. She was getting, I
Yeah,
think it
she
was
was
going
gonna
to
pull
Yeah.
get the
car
car for something.
forward.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So she was supposed to get the car, and he took the car keys. And when she saw that it was smoking, and she heard the car engine, she wanted to stop. Well, she wanted to turn the car off. And when she went in for the keys, that's when she saw that they weren't there, and then the door locked in on
wait,
her.
okay, maybe cars back then could run without keys in them, but now if you pull a key out of a car, it shuts
Oh
off.
yeah, it's done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you do make a great point. I didn't even realize
Well,
that.
it's possible that that's how cars back then worked, and that's a safety feature that was added in because of stuff like this. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Probably.
So
Yeah.
that, yeah,
And it could be the particular type of car. Maybe some cars didn't have that kind of feature yet.
that's
Hey,
what I'm
and
saying. Yeah,
my,
because
my
it was
dad
an
had an
older
old
style car.
truck that you could take the key out with it running, so it could just be an
Really?
old
Okay,
car.
yeah. So it was like an old
Mm.
car thing. Because that, that looked like a 1930s car.
Yeah.
Oh
So
yeah.
that makes sense then.
The truck my dad had was a Jeep, but it was new enough that you couldn't do that. It was just broken.
Oh, okay. I was going to say if
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
military grade vehicle that was like changed, a lot of them didn't need keys. You just had a starter button.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so that might attract, and then they might have added a key to it later, but it was a different kind of system how it worked.
Man,
So,
she was super lucky that what's his face was strolling on by for his nightly
Yeah.
true crime nightcap.
yeah. This is the part where they're like, "Go get the whiskey next to my bed."
Yeah, it'll help with
that'll
anything.
fix her up. She needs to smoke a couple of cigarettes and then drink some brandy, and all her cores will be reset.
Yeah.
I love this scene when she wakes and sees his face, and it's just pure disgust, pure hatred and disgust coming from her.
Well, because at that point she knows that was him. That was him
Mhm.
the entire time, attempting. And look how he's like, I care about you, but then
Look, eyes wide, look, just like, just telling him to duck off.
Mm-hmm.
Go away.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's like at this point, you know for a fact that he's tried to murder you.
Mhm.
At first when you
Twice.
saw the twice for sure, 100%, and you don't know while you're waking up, you don't really know who's around you, and the first thing you do when you open your eyes is you just see his face. You automatically in your mind, I'm probably sure she thought that she was kidnapped or something.
Oh, that's a
Yeah.
good point. Yeah. Creepy uncle kidnapped her.
Yeah, really, really creepy uncle.
And how he's always touching her too. It's like it's a dominance thing.
Right. Yeah. He's always got his hand on her arm to kind of control her.
Yep,
Yeah.
he's always grabbing her, which I mean, again, the control aspect, and well, the parents are a bit, how would I say, in this scene they're a bit chill. I'd
What just
react,
happened?
yeah, because it's weird because they do still leave for their event, which I mean, hell, I
Yeah,
don't
this
think I'd
guy.
leave my child.
This guy. Oh, that's how I would do it right there.
I think it's
Lock the
ironic. I think it's
garage.
ironic that it's this guy, the one that plans murders with his friend. This guy is the one that discovered the sound of the beating from inside the garage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
know-
Like something like that. I think it's ironic.
I know exactly why, Mags. It's what I said earlier. people who listen to true crime or discuss it, they're more alert about their surroundings.
Yep.
Mhm.
They're like,
Mic drop.
For
guy
sure.
over there is gonna do something, and yeah, yep. Constantly on the lookout for things. That looks weird. See something, say something.
Exactly.
Yep. It's like I don't know. Do you guys think that she was faking it a bit in terms of her dizziness to when she woke up? Because once they left, I mean, she was on point with whatever she wanted to do. She didn't waste no time. She didn't show any signs of kind of weird dizziness or
It
anything.
might have been because he was going and she didn't. She pretended to be sick and be away from
Mhm.
him for a while.
Yep.
She also wasn't in there very long, too. I wonder how long.
Yeah.
And they were getting ready to leave. So poor planning on his part, because they were getting ready to leave. So they're going to find her anyway. They were
True.
literally ready to go out the door. So
It could be a threat, in a way, knowing
that's a
that
good point.
that knowing in that situation that maybe she wouldn't just die, but more like a threat to her to mind her place, basically. And it's a
Mm.
control tactic. I mean, how
Yeah.
else are you gonna? You already had the step situation, and now basically, the what is it? Carbon monoxide? Yeah, something like
Yeah,
that.
carbon monoxide.
Yeah,
Yeah.
monoxide. Poisoning with that. So it's kind of like she's been physically invaded, so to speak, in terms of the space. First it's been
Right.
verbal threats, now it's physical threats. So this is kind of, it's a control thing.
Yeah, this scene of her going up the stairs is a reoccurring shot with Hitchcock. People going upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just to bounce on what we were saying before about him, it's also the fact that he's not afraid to try and murder you, knowing that your parents are right there.
Yeah.
It's to prove that I can kill you, even though help will just be just a few feet away. I'm that capable of doing it. That's why you should be so scared of me at this point.
Yeah, and they're
I am this
introducing him
kind of
to a
dangerous.
widow.
Yep.
Go ahead, Jacob. I'm sorry.
They're introducing him to a widow here. The
Mm.
lady sitting down there.
I just noticed that's a priest in the background.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, introducing him to a rich widow. What are those cucumber cakes? Or cucumber sandwiches?
Cream
Probably.
cheese
Probably.
sandwiches.
Ah,
She says they're
Yes.
cream cheese sandwiches with a little paprika to make them pink.
So
Oh, yeah.
it's amazing that he's surrounded by all of these good, normal, kind of good and normal people types, and here he's a wolf in literal plain sight. So that's how narcissistic he is. He can get away with it because he's right there. I mean, look at that
Mhm.
face. That's such great acting to show how manipulative he is.
Oh yeah, it's like no one suspects a thing except for you, and no one's gonna believe you because, well, you're the only person that manages to see the suspicious parts of what I'm doing, while the rest of them are trapped how you were before with looking at me in a sort of, let's say, childish gaze.
So he says here he's leaving town. I think this is where he says it.
Yeah.
Because he found out that Rito is also leaving.
Oh.
Mhm.
Mhm. And she's like, "Oh my god!" She just
like-
looks so disgusted.
It's like, fucking finally get this dude out of here. It's like, yep, everyone's just saying
So now he's
goodbye
got his
to
cane
him.
again
Yeah,
that he's never used the entire movie.
he doesn't want to be bothered.
And this little kid has never changed clothes. The little
Yeah.
boy, he's wearing the same exact stuff he's had on the entire movie.
Probably had
true.
one or two wardrobe changes. Yeah.
That was pretty much it. Yeah, well, he isn't in the movie that much either. And even when he is, like in this scene, he's completely obscured. Like he's in there for what, 30 seconds, even less.
Yeah.
The build up to this was so interesting because I knew it's like 10 minutes left in the
Oh, yeah,
movie.
yeah.
Something's got to happen. I mean, there's no way this is just going to end with him just going off on a train. And
Yeah.
just the build up of like, hey kids, go, go to your parents, and bag person, there's some bags to still, be pulled, to just get her alone.
I
Yeah.
can't remember, why did she get on the train?
She went to go look for her siblings to grab them. I believe
Oh,
one of her
okay.
parents were like, hey, go get, Anne, and I forgot what the
Yeah.
other kid's name is, but yeah,
Roger.
Roger.
Yeah.
How does nobody hear this poor girl? Like,
yeah, because she's actually just in the mid. They were in the middle of the hallway, so that's pretty much it. And it's weird because it's also the fact that from his part, he's burning all bridges. He knows that if he does this, he's never seeing his sister again or the rest of her family. But I think that just bounces back on what Mag said with his narcissistic tendencies. It's just more powerful than him. He
Yep.
needs to
Right.
get rid of her.
well, even with him saying like, hey, nope, we got to wait for it to go a little faster.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Have him have her look him directly in the eyes, force her to look directly at him like he's doing right now,
Mm-hmm.
Knowing that she's probably going to die if she falls out of
Mhm.
this train. Oh no.
Then he just falls.
Modern
again.
day movies, we would see the train rolling over the body.
Depends on the movie.
Most horror movies nowadays.
Oh yeah.
If it's especially
Horror
done by
movies.
Eli Roth.
Oh yeah.
At this point, of course, the whole audience is going, "Oh, thank God, he's done. He's not only is
Then
that she's safe, but he's
Well, he's a little shorter than he used to be.
Oh my goodness, Jacob.
Bum, bum, bum.
Listen, he's half the man he used to be.
Ah!
But
He just rolled over and took it.
I just found like how quickly the tables turned, where I thought for sure he was going to kill her, and then and then like in
Well,
a split second he's gone.
Well, yeah, the pride cometh right before the fall. In this case, literally.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
That's what
and
took him out.
and it was, and you're right, an uninspired reviewer. The fact that his target, his niece, is something that's not usually his usual typical target. So
Mhm.
because he's doing something out of his own line, so to speak, of course, because to hide and his ego and everything else, it's that ends up being his downfall.
Right.
Yep.
And it was very spur
Yeah.
of the moment. I think the other
Yeah.
murders he did were always planned out real well. Probably.
Yeah, well, hopefully, yeah, probably because you do have to get away with 3, and the fact that they had other suspects as well, just it means that he did a good job getting rid of a lot of the evidence. So he was someone who was sort of meticulous.
Right. And that was it.
Yay. Alfred Hitchcock was producing bangers even before, 1943. That's pretty it's pretty early for Hitchcock, actually. He was he's much more known for his 50s and up film.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like The Birds, things like
Mhm.
that.
Psycho.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's like when he started working with Bernard Herrmann, that's when that's where all of his most famous movies are from.
Now
Right.
this movie was remade. You can watch the remake. It came out 1991 on YouTube.
Ooh.
What's it called? Does it have the same title?
Same name. Yeah, same title.
Who's in it?
Yikes.
Interesting.
That's a good question.
Anybody noteworthy, or is it just a bunch of no names?
I'm gonna look right now.
Yeah,
Mark Harmon
Oh, Mark Harmon's in it?
plays older Charlie, and Margaret Welsh plays young Charlie.
Okay.
Hmm.
Because
Interesting.
Mark Harmon, he was really good in Summer School. I don't know if you've ever seen that 80s
No,
movie.
I've never seen that one.
It's a comedy. But He goes on. He's in NCIS, right?
Yeah, he's an inside
Yeah.
NCIS.
Yeah,
Yep.
NCIS, and he was in some kind of like doctor show or something
Mm-hmm.
for a
Was
while.
that General Hospital or was that something else I'm
It was
thinking
like
of?
a nighttime show. It wasn't a
Okay. I'm trying to
yeah.
think of the
The
name of it.
runtime's longer too. Here, I'll post it in
Yeah.
the chat. Oh,
I think
right.
this is a film that could benefit from a longer runtime. I do think that it manages to you could flesh out a lot more and make it even more how would I say this, even more enticing and suspenseful. You know, well, especially if you're bringing it into modern day. I could easily see why adding to the runtime could help.
Yeah, I would be curious to see how it plays out. It only has a 5.4 out of 10 on IMDb.
Yikes.
But one of the first reviews says it's a pretty faithful adaptation. So I don't know.
So
who
it was a
for it.
TV movie.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah, it probably was made for TV. I
But
don't.
the whole
think it
thing's
was
on
theatrical.
YouTube.
Okay.
Yep. So no one currently cares about it.
I recommend just watching Summer School instead.
Or just rewatch Shadow of a Doubt, you know? The
Well, I
original.
would be interested to see if they set this in the 40s or did they modernize it? Because by the look of the poster, it looks like they kept the 1940s feel to it.
Well,
Yes.
what's the point of that?
Well, it's also in color, so I don't know if that makes a difference.
I think it helps for the plot as
There's
well.
only 2 photographs.
And one of the
Ooh.
photograph shows, I think they did keep it to the 1940s look.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it helps having it in the 1940s because, well, number one, cell phones. You know, that's the biggest issue that you have, especially in horror movies and stuff like that. It's thriller movies. The biggest issue is cell phones all the time. It's you have to find a way to get rid of them first and foremost in your story.
Because
Yeah,
smartphones, none of like 90% of Seinfeld doesn't work if you have cell
It's
phones.
crazy.
Yep.
Because there can be no like misunderstandings or miscommunications. Like, oh, I didn't know, I couldn't get a hold of you, kind of thing.
Yep.
I love
Exactly.
Seinfeld. I watch it every single night. It's my I put on to fall asleep to TV show.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
A lot of good humor in that show.
Mm-hmm. It could not be made today. It would offend everyone.
Hell, nothing could get made today.
It offends people today because it still offends people today.
I think it's superior than Friends.
Yeah, me too.
Oh yeah, I totally agree.
A lot of stuff is superior than Friends. My favorite one is The Office. I just think The Office is perfection.
I never got into The Office, but I really do enjoy Arrested Development.
Same.
First couple of seasons.
First 3 seasons are good.
I haven't watched any of those shows.
Oh, I would recommend Arrested Development. Yeah.
Yeah. really
mainly
take that one
because
out.
I was always in a position, I was either in a different country where it wasn't broadcasting, or I was working a night shift or something and couldn't be bothered to watch it. Just because, it was on TV, and if you wanted to watch it, you had to record it on a, VHS or something at the time.
Yeah, unless they were just playing a lot of reruns.
I'll see clips of Friends today and think, why did I watch this show?
Yeah, I don't like Roseanne. I watched like one episode and was like, no thanks. There's all these shows that a lot of people like that I just either have never watched or don't care for.
I think it was a few years ago I for the first time watched all of Friends because everybody hypes it up as this amazing sitcom show. And I was like, why? Each one of these people are so unlikable. Each one of these characters.
Right. It's just I just didn't care about their story.
Well,
I'd rather
they're all caricatures, basically.
Yep.
Yeah, and
what was the one?
It's like you're supposed to like these people, but in Seinfeld, they're jerks. But that's part of the part of the show.
Yep,
what was the
you're
one
right,
where
Jacob.
he was like a conservative dude and she was a hippie, and they met and got married?
Not Will and Grace, right?
Yeah, Will and Grace. That might have been it. Was that
Will and Grace is the couple. Will's gay. Grace.
No. These two are married, and there's this conflict. And like his parents are super rich,
Was it
and
All About You or something like that?
no, I
No.
can't remember. It had, I think, Jenna Elfman in it or something.
I don't know.
Will,
was in the
Will and
90s.
Grace is another show that's overrated too, by the way. And The Big Bang Theory.
No, The Big Bang Theory sucks.
Mhm.
It really, really sucks. I mean, there's a few jokes that land, but 90% of
Dharma
them
and
don't.
Greg, that's what it was called.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I like that show. I mean, it got a little old after a while, but in the beginning, the first couple seasons were good.
When I
Just
was a
'cause
kid,
of
I
the
watched a lot of Nick at Night. So a lot of I Love Lucy, a
Oh
lot of
yes,
Dick
me
Van
too.
Dyke Show,
yeah.
Mhm.
Spectre
Bewitched
Gadget.
was always on.
Andy Griffith Show?
Yeah.
No,
No.
no. That missed me by a couple of years.
One of my favorite things to watch nowadays, especially on Tubi or Pluto, they always have these channels dedicated to like one show or whatever. My favorites have been the original Mission Impossible,
nice.
Columbo,
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
Perry
that's-
Mason.
Yeah.
Columbo's is
Columbo
good.
is
Really good.
Yeah.
It
How about,
is.
how about
It-
Rockford Files? Anybody remember that?
No.
No.
I've watched a few reruns. Yeah.
Yeah.
What
What's
do I think?
What's the one where he talks? He's like a spy and he has a shoe phone.
That's Get Smart.
Get Smart. That's what I would
Yeah.
watch as a kid a lot.
Yeah.
How about Kung Fu? That was a good show when I was a kid.
It's funny. I've referenced Get Smart in a paper in college. So talking about paradigm shifts and tech, and I was using that as an example of like technology paradigm shifting and all that kind of stuff.
The phone in a shoe.
Phone in a shoe with a phone in a pocket. So I mean, I forget. Like I think I was trying to write like an example of what paradigm shifts are and everything and
Yeah.
all that kind of fun stuff. But yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So any last thoughts on Shadow of a Doubt? Shieldwall.
10 out of 10 would recommend.
Yeah, it's
yeah,
a good.
sure to
It's a good movie. It really adds to his body of work that he did, and it's not a boring movie or anything. I mean, I don't want to like rush right out and see it again, but a little while from now, watch it again. I think it'd be fun. What I really like about these movies is just looking at the background stuff, like how things used to be back then.
Yeah, how things used
Plus
to be
the-
made. Well,
yeah.
movies are what's it called? Are a true well, movies are a way to time travel because you can tell how it was back
Oh,
then,
yeah.
really, because all the products that were in the films, everything surrounding the film was just it gives you a little insight on how the world worked back then, and it's always fun to visit.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
And the
it's
fact
always
that
it's cool to watch a movie that wouldn't work today because of cell phones.
Mhm.
yeah.
That's also true.
And also when you see things in black and white, it almost doesn't feel real or seem real, but to think that people, weren't that much different from us now. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
And as much as things have changed, a lot has not changed. Or they had a lot of the same things we have now. It's just the stuff that we have now is way more advanced.
yeah,
But they
Right.
had cameras, they had telephones, they had record players, they had, you know what I mean? They had a means of recording your voice. They could record moving pictures. They could take photographs. There was, if you could pay for it, it was almost instant communication between one side of the country to the other, or even around the world.
Mhm.
You just had to have,
Yeah.
it was harder to do, but it wasn't impossible.
yeah.
So, those things all kind of play into it, but it also shows us how different we are than from back then. And it in the scheme of human history, it really isn't that much time has passed. If
Oh
you
no.
look at
No.
like the Middle Ages or something, technology would just crawl along. It'd be generations before something huge happened. And here between 1943 and what we got going on now, it's a huge, giant change.
Yeah, it's
Well,
a
I mean,
completely massive leap.
if
Yeah.
you think about it, I mean, we're not that we're not that far away from when this movie was made.
Mhm.
That's literally my grandmother's generation.
Right. There's still
Mhm.
people that
Right.
could have seen this still alive. I mean, they'd be like little kids when they saw it, but um, they could still, feasibly be alive right now to
Yep.
talk about the movie. I remember I was 6 years old when I saw it or whatever. I don't know what
Mhm.
kind of bad parents took them to see it when they were 6, but
I just like it reminded me how much CGI has ruined Hollywood.
yeah,
Yes.
I've been on
yes,
this kick of just
Yes.
enjoying older movies that have minimum to no CGI, and it just reminds me how much we relied so heavily on CGI nowadays.
Do you
Yeah, it was
think
proper
that
ingenuity back then.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Do you
I think
think
it
that
affords more creativity to do those types of effects more so than CGI.
Oh yeah.
right? Do you think that because of CGI, that some of the techniques and expertise for doing those kinds of props and sets and things like that have kind of atrophied in Hollywood?
Well, I think
Yes.
it's more so the switch from film to digital that has killed all of that because with film you had to use certain techniques. I mean, even in the editing room with film it was completely different. Now it's just with the age of digital, having digital cameras and all of that, it's like much simpler to do everything. However, the fact that it is simpler creates laziness, and
Okay,
that's
right.
the
So
main
Exactly.
issue.
you don't have to
Ex-
be as judicious with each shot then.
Yeah.
Yes. Even when I was
Right.
on sets and making movies and stuff, I prefer more physical effects and special effects than CGI. And CGI was used as like, okay, maybe this explosion wasn't as big enough, or okay, we don't have the budget to blow up a building, so we're going to utilize CGI in these shots. But now I think movies rely so much more on it because of laziness, more so than it being digital. Because digital should make it easier for filmmakers to make movies and then put more effort into those physical effects
Well,
rather than just being lazy and relying on CGI.
well, not only that, but
Yeah.
they rely on CGI to fix all the things in post production.
Yep.
So, whereas on a movie set like this, they would literally hone in their craft right then and there. So, I
Yeah,
mean, they
it's
would
because
probably fix things on the fly if they have to redo a scene. But I mean, that
yeah,
means we're doing a scene. So it's like,
yeah,
Right. Right.
exactly. Because they had a fire under their asses the entire time because film was expensive, so your time was limited. Uh, you had to get the perfect shot. The lighting had to be perfect. Everything basically had to be tip top shape for the scene to work, and you had to get it as quick as possible, best as possible. So you had to be quick, you had to be efficient, and it had to be perfect on almost every single take. Now, with digital, you can film as much as you want whenever you want, and you can revisit it in post production. You can re edit it in like 20 different ways. And so, it's just so, what's the point of being perfect on set on the day if, well, you can just do everything later or
I
think
mean,
about it,
I
later?
think it also
Yeah.
has to do with turnaround rates for movies too. We were talking about
Mhm.
this on Gladiator, where productions like this or something like Gladiator would take months to prepare. Where
Mhm.
now, because we're so heavily reliant on CGI, people are just couple weeks for productions. Principal productions are only they're grueling schedules for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then they want to put the movie out faster instead of
Mhm.
actually taking their time to draw out and build out a production.
And it's different
Right.
now with TV shows though, because a season of TV used to be like 23 episodes.
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you're lucky if you get 8 and they don't all suck. And they're like
Yeah.
20 minutes long or
Yeah.
something, and you're like, "What are they
And then and
doing?"
it's 45 minutes of credits.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and you were just like, and they, people were making good shows, 20 episode, 18, to 20 episode shows
40
every
minutes per
year.
episode, too.
Yeah, 40 minutes, 45 minutes per episode. Um, and they were high quality stuff, a lot of them. And they were doing way more with a lot less than what they
Hmm.
have now. So it
Yeah.
doesn't,
I've
yeah.
That's why I
I've been
constantly
watching
bring up.
uh, Doctor Who from the 70s, Tom Baker, and the sets they built back then were incredible compared to what they do today. I mean,
Oh,
it's,
they totally did that show on a shoestring too,
oh yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
It also brings up with movies filming on actual locations rather than a green screen or
Oh yeah, or the volume.
yeah.
yeah.
And I know
volume.
people are tired of hearing me mention this, but it's one of the reasons why I loved the D&D movie this year, because they actually shot on actual locations. They used puppetry, they used actual physical effects for that movie instead of relying heavily on CGI.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, the whatever that bird guy was.
Yeah, in the
Yeah,
beginning.
that dude was like literally a dude in a suit or a puppet
Mhm.
or something.
Yeah,
But it worked. It
It
worked. I
did.
mean,
It did work.
it works.
Now, obviously, the big fat dragon was CGI.
yeah, I mean, we're CGI where you need to, but
Yeah,
they also went and shot on locations instead of just relying on a green screen set.
right, right. Yeah, because I don't know where it had. Yeah, some of it you have to do CGI because I don't know where else you'd get a gelatinous cube from. But yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah, it was a much better movie than I thought it was going to be, and I think a lot of that owes to Chris Pine, um, his performance, but a lot of the other people. What's his name? The guy from Bridgerton, who was the paladin. He did a good job too.
Or as I call it, that's the DM playing his own character for like a brief
Oh yeah, for a
session.
brief amount of the awesome NPC that comes in the self-insert.
Yep. Fun fact about that movie: the scene where he just keeps walking. He didn't actually hear them call cut, and that dialogue from Chris Pine is all ad libbed.
Oh, right.
really?
oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Which is what, like I said,
He
which is
walks
what
up
makes
over
it
the
so
rock.
great.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's just he just didn't hear them call cut.
Yeah,
Wow.
which makes it even better. Like I said, Chris Pine really, to me, made that movie. But I thought everyone else, and for the most part, did a pretty good job of acting, especially Rodriguez. She did good too.
Mhm.
I can't think of her first name.
And it's a
Michelle?
very
Yeah, Michelle.
positive fatherhood storyline.
Right. Yeah, exactly. He's
Yeah.
not like some kind of weird bit. I mean, he kind of wasn't the perfect dad, but then he tried, you know what I mean? Like, because, he got into a bad situation in the first place. But,
Yeah,
but,
as rogues do.
right, exactly. But then once he got a family, then, things kind of changed for him. So anyway, that's a good movie. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I enjoyed it. I know that
Yeah.
I know there were mixed reviews or whatever, but I enjoyed it. I'm with Nadia on this one. So, but
It has
I
a
don't
lot
know-
of good rewatch value to me.
Yeah.
I agree. with
Also, I think if you've know D&D or played it, really even any of the variants of the game, then you might enjoy it real more than if you've never even heard of D&D and then you go in and watch the movie.
Oh yeah, it felt like I was just watching a bunch of players play
Yeah.
their characters, playing D&D myself, and just how they fumbled dice and how they hit a crit 20 and just little things like that for players as Easter eggs was really cool.
But I still think it was entertaining enough that if you didn't know anything about it, you could still sit and watch it, and it wasn't
It's a good
terrible.
family
Yeah,
movie,
and-
Right.
and
which we don't have a lot
I
of.
heard
them
arguments.
lately.
I heard arguments saying that, well, it could have been like Lord of the Rings. Well, it's not Lord of the Rings.
What?
It doesn't want to be Lord of the
it's in
Rings.
the
No,
same-
it does.
no,
It does
uh-uh.
not anywhere near want to
It's-
be. It wants to be
It's
funny.
in a similar, fantasy world, but it's completely different than Lord of the Rings.
Right. Yeah. D&D, typical D&D world is totally not like anything like a Tolkien kind of world. The magic systems are totally different. It's
Yeah.
not in that world. The Tolkien world, it's a soft magic system, whereas in D&D, it's more of a hard magic system where there's rules, and if you know what the rules are, you can counterspell or whatever. You can do. Okay, I know what this guy's doing. He's definitely doing this. Whereas with Gandalf, you don't know what he's doing. He's just doing something with his staff, and all of a sudden light comes out, and you're not even sure what's happening.
I always turn streams into D&D streams.
Nadia.
Sorry.
Are you getting some kind of kickback from?
I
Wizards of the
wish.
Coast?
For as
Yeah.
much as I talk about that movie and talk about D&D, I wish.
Yeah. No, but it is a good movie. But yeah, Alfred Hitchcock. I mean, is there even anybody around anymore that makes movies like him?
Tarantino,
No.
not like him, but if you would put somebody who maybe in the same like
Value
same value,
style, basically.
yeah. I
Right.
would say maybe Tarantino. That's about it. I don't like James Cameron. Everybody worships James Cameron. I think Avatar's
No,
overrated.
No, he's overrated.
same.
Yeah, that's over.
It's for
I'm
it's
with
a
you.
adult.
I'm with you, Nadia, on that one. I think it's overrated. That's okay.
What were you gonna say, Nadia? It's for adult what?
It's a fern. It's a
Oh,
adult
adult
version of
Fern
Fern
Gully.
Gully.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
That's
you're
what it
so
is.
true.
Okay, so here's I've never seen Fern Gully.
Watch Fern Gully, which is a better story, a better way of telling this story. And it's an animation. Has Robin Williams voicing it in there.
What year did it come out?
Ooh,
You know?
I think was it the 80s?
Yeah. See.
Yeah.
I think the animation style. Let me look it up. Fern.
but when I saw Avatar for the first time, everybody was just like, Avatar.
Because
So
of the way
amazing.
it was shot with the
says-
3D was pretty groundbreaking for the
So
time.
it says
Story-
1992. Sorry. That's why I got a little confused with some of the animation because some of the animation looks very 80s,
Mhm.
late 80s style. But anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I thought it was overrated. I understand it being groundbreaking for the technology at the time, but the story lacked a lot of. It wasn't new to me. I felt like, I had no connection to any
No,
of these
it was-
characters. I just didn't give
Oh, yeah.
didn't care. So I didn't even see
I-
the second
I
one.
got,
I'm not gonna waste 3 hours.
White man, military man, bad in space.
Oh, I was going to ask that question to the panel. Who do you think the hero was in the in that movie?
In the
Well,
first one,
In the Avatar, yeah.
I don't think anybody was the hero in that movie.
Yeah, no one.
no.
I actually liked the Colonel. He was my favorite character out of everybody.
Yeah, I do like
The
that
Colonel was cool,
actor
that's
and
why.
character.
When he went outside the thing and he was shooting that gun, trying to chase after him, and he didn't have his mask on, and he just held his
Yeah.
breath when he went out there, I was like, yeah, there we go. I mean, you get it. You get the
There we go,
whole thing. They shouldn't be trying to blow up the Navi's tree and all that kind of stuff. But
Humanity first.
yeah, exactly.
They recycled the exact same plot for the second movie. That was it.
Yeah, that's what made it so
Yeah,
bad. The only thing
right.
I kind of liked about the second one was Sigourney Weaver's character.
Has there ever
performance.
been a pro-humanity movie out lately? Like in the last
There needs to
5,
be
10
one,
years?
but I mean, you really can't. You couldn't really do one.
Yeah.
Maybe The Creator, but I heard that flopped.
Oh,
There's-
no. That's definitely not pro-humanity. That's
Pro-humanity,
exactly...
no.
So The Creator is exactly like Avatar, except replace the Navi with the AI. That's it.
Oh, pass.
Oh
Oh,
my
yeah.
gosh. I'm glad I
Yeah.
did not see that
No,
movie.
seriously,
Yeah.
like that
Yeah.
is the movie. It's
And,
Avatar,
man,
but with AI.
It looks. We're getting a lot of things these days that look good but are not.
Oh, that's why I'm
mean,
hoping
some
that
of the-
Rebel Moon doesn't suck.
Effects.
It
in
I
that
don't
movie
know.
were
I'm on the
crazy.
fence with that one.
Because it
Oh,
looked
Zack
like-
Snyder's Star Wars movie?
Yeah,
Okay.
the
Okay.
trailer
Yeah,
looked
right.
good to me. I had some interesting characters like Anthony Hopkins' character interests me quite a bit. But then again, I'm the kind of person that when I watch Cobra Kai, once they went into Kreese's backstory, I started to really get interested in his character. Because I don't think they should have done that. They should have just left him alone if they want him to be the quote unquote villain. But once they went into his backstory, it totally explained the way he is why he is. And I don't know if they're falling into that trap of making the villain sympathetic, but
I
because
miss when villains were real villains.
then he started helping out the one girl. Like she had no mom and she was working 2 jobs and her life sucked. And then, she was getting all kinds of flack from everybody. And he actually helped her out because I think he saw a little bit of himself in her. And
Yep.
to me, I was like, and then, if you haven't seen the show.
It seemed very believable as far as how they introduced all that.
Right. It did. And then
It wasn't like a sympathetic, like you still like
Right.
he still did shit, you know, excuse
Bad
me,
things.
bad things. Sorry, he still did bad things. It still doesn't excuse him from what he's done, but at the same time, you understand. It's not a sympathetic hero type. I forget. I don't know whether to what to
But for
call it
me,
as,
it
but it's
was
yeah.
his Vietnam experience and what he went through there is what shaped him. That
And to be quite honest, a lot of guys were shaped by that war, and not into the creases, but they
But
they were highly.
specifically what he had to do when he was there just to survive
Yep.
is what put him into the place that he's at now.
Yep.
And the mindset of the whole strike first kind of thing. So I don't know. I'm just interested to see how it plays out. And of course, I mean, obviously Johnny Lawrence is the best thing in that show.
I think we stopped watching after season 3. I think. It's not that we lost interest. It's just I think we were just too busy, and it just kind of fell off the radar for us.
Right, yeah. Well, once the next final season comes out or whatever, then you can pick back up and watch it. I mean, it's not a perfect show. It has some problems with, especially like the teenager stuff for me is a little but and also it gets a little unbelievable that Johnny is that dumb to what, like he's that stuck in the 80s. He doesn't know what half this
I
stuff
don't
is.
know. I've
Yeah.
known people who are just literally stuck in high school kind of mentality. Like that is
Right.
their
But what I'm
big.
talking about is like, he doesn't know what he didn't know what the internet was or, stuff like that kind of thing. It makes for a great comedy in the show and where they push back on some of the feminist narratives and stuff. I can't specifically remember exactly what he said, but he wanted to recruit one of these women to be on his team, and the way he went about it was like it would not fly today at all.
It might have worked in the 80s and it would have been fine, but
yeah,
like
but it
now
was
it's like
yeah,
what? No.
it's great when you see that kind of stuff because I just love it when I love it when somebody tells the modern media and Twitter and everything there are 4 lights. If you know what my reference to that is.
Yes.
Yep. If you don't know what that is, there's a Star Trek episode where Picard gets captured by the Cardassians, and they basically psychologically torture him and get him to try to say there's 4 lights behind this dude and get him to try to say that there's 5 lights. That the truth is that there's 5 lights. And they try to break him to get him to say that there are 5 lights. And at the end, he doesn't break, and they finally cut a deal to get him out of there. And that guy desperately wants him to say that there's 5 lights. And at the end, he's all dehydrated and like tied up and stuff. And he's like,
That
there are 4 lights. And
that
that's
is
my
peak Picard
yes,
right there.
peak Picard. And then what they did to him in the new Picard series is garbage, So anyway, but that's my response to modern media, everybody else that's trying to tell you that things that you can see and perceive with your own eyes that you know to be true, that is common sense, that is not. That's my response to them. There are 4 lights. You're not going to get me to say that there are 5.
Yeah.
I've only seen one episode of Star Trek, and it was Space Seed.
I've seen none of them.
It's pretty good, to be honest. When I watched it, I was like very immersed and amazed because I could tell that show was done on a shoestring, and it was just a lot of fun.
You have to thank
somebody
Lucille
recommended
Ball.
somebody just recommended just going back and just watching like the top 10 or 15 episodes from the original.
The best way to do it is to start at the beginning and watch it. Go start there, then do some of the movies. Just basically chronologically of how it came out. That's how you should do it.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna start doing when I get time, because that's why I prioritize watching movies, because I rarely have time to watch TV shows.
Right.
Yeah, I only watch really horror TV shows like Flanagan stuff.
Yeah, same.
Some of foreign stuff. Yeah.
What about Firefly? Have you seen that?
I hate Firefly.
No.
I do not like Nathan
it?
Fillion. I do not like Firefly.
Oh.
I think it's overrated.
Why do you
Cancel
hate
me
Nathan
now.
Fillion?
Yeah,
I
why
think he's
Nathan
overrated
Fillion?
as well. It's not that I just like I don't get it. I just don't get it.
I didn't even know that he was highly
Cute.
rated. I just thought that he was a cool dude.
I just something about him just irks me. Just red flags are going off, and
You've got
Really?
the-
everybody loves him, and I'm like, nope. And my husband and I will get into this discussion because he loves Firefly and
Yeah,
Nathan
fire.
Fillion.
I think that it could have really done a lot. I just like the crew dynamic in the show.
I just couldn't get into it. And then anytime he's in any show, I'm like, oh, really? Nate, really got to put him in this? All right.
Really? Wow. Okay.
Yes,
I think
that
popular
level
culture-
of
I mean, I think we all
distaste.
have people that we surprise other people with by not liking.
True.
You know, and
Well,
other people
I
are
didn't like
"What?"
Arcane.
Yeah, I
Really?
can
Wow.
actually.
Yeah.
Okay, so who's your favorite character in Arcane?
Me?
No, anybody on the panel? If you've seen
Um,
Arcane,
I can't.
I've not seen
It's been-
Arcane. It's
Probably
been a long
Jinx.
time.
I really
Probably
like
Jinx. Yeah.
mine is Silco.
Oh well, Suko is
Interesting.
great too.
If you got to look at his backstory, so that's what I'm saying. He's like a crease
I like the,
character, and
I like the dad figure in it.
That's
Still
kind of-
Silk.
Got rid of him.
he dies, right?
They're the one that
Spoiler.
dies. Well,
Or supposedly dies.
Yeah. Okay.
allegedly dies.
So yeah, but Silco's backstory is that he was a rebel with this other guy, and they were fighting, and basically the other guy turned on him because he wanted to save his family or something like that. So they
Mhm.
screwed Silco over, and now Silco's fighting for the underdog, but he's doing it in like a evil-ish kind of way. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
so he's not a good person, but you understand how he got to be where he is. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the whole sympathetic villain, but I think in certain instances it helps to see their perspective as to what they're doing. And
Yeah.
I don't know. You just kind of
Jacob,
see.
have you seen Blue Eyed Samurai?
Yeah.
Didn't like that either.
I don't know. Not particularly. It was a little half and half for me.
I haven't
Okay.
seen that yet. I've just finished the most up to date season of Demon Slayer.
Ooh,
How many
Demon Slayer's
seasons are
great.
there in,
Have you
I
seen?
kind of-
Slayer?
When it comes to female characters that are like the main battle hardened warrior, unless they have like a certain fighting style that suits a not as strong opponent, you know what I mean? Or
I know
or
what
they
you're-
I
have
know
a
what you're saying.
superpower.
I-
That
A
that
Mary
kinda
Sue
makes sense, but
superpower.
Yeah.
So I know what Jacob is saying. So they either have to have a fighting technique that isn't just beating the crap out of a 300-pound dude, like
Mhm.
physically. It has to be they're more nimble, and they're like using a weapon or something that it doesn't matter how strong you are, you can still incapacitate somebody with it. Or they have to be like have a superpower like Captain Marvel that explains why they're inhumanly strong even though they don't look it. Then those
Have
are acceptable.
Have either of you seen more than one episode of it, Jacob, or did
Yeah,
you
I watched the whole thing.
the whole thing? Okay,
Yeah.
I
interesting.
haven't
Because like
seen it yet at all.
I can understand where you're coming from, Jacob, but and I'm the same way. I hate it when they take a woman and they just make her more powerful than a man. Just physically, that just doesn't work. It's not realistic. And I was avoiding watching it because I'm like, why do we have a female samurai? This is off. But watching it, I can understand where she started and how she got to that point of being a fighter. Like it worked for me, her background story, instead of just saying like, oh, she just trained for like a day and now she's a super samurai.
Was
Yeah.
is it more like a Mulan kind of story? Like
I
the
no,
motivations?
kind of. I don't want to ruin it because I thought it was really good. The animation was great. I thought the storytelling, there was a lot of twists and turns. There's a lot of different
But I mean,
character
the
arcs
reason
too.
for her going on the journey that she's on isn't just because I want to prove that I'm stronger than men.
No, it's a
Or is
revenge
it
tale.
okay? So there's
Mhm.
something because, like
Yeah.
for Mulan,
revenge.
the reason that she does what she does in the cartoon, which makes the entire story work for me, is it's because it's for her family's honor and to protect her father,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah,
It's
so-
not because you guys told me I couldn't. I'm gonna go kill the predator because you told me I couldn't. I'm gonna be the best hunter ever, and because the boys said I couldn't do it, kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, she doesn't go through a like, oh, because men say I can't do this, I'm going to do this. It's really literally a revenge tale, but it's a very sad one. When you find out how she got to that point, and
Mhm.
I think it's very good, but I can understand why it might turn some people off. Like my husband refused to watch it because he thought, again, it was going to be a Mary Sue type character where she's like this super samurai. She's better than everybody else. I mean, she gets her ass kicked quite a few times in this.
Yeah.
But it's like Arnold Schwarzenegger though in a movie.
That's true.
So
Yeah, yeah. It is. I'm trying to think if there was anything else out there that I'm looking forward to. They pushed Dune back. I'm gonna have to watch that one again. Just to
Aquaman.
get my. Oh, I don't. I don't know. I didn't really. The first one was kind of to me. I mean, it had crab people in it, so that was cool. But,
Yeah.
but like, yeah, the under like the Sea Kingdoms with like the lobster dudes. But we'll have to see how it goes. Although I did see he's riding a seahorse in the trailer, so he's got that going for him. At least
Ooh.
that's
I'm there for
comic
Patrick
accurate.
Wilson. I'm just there for Patrick Wilson.
Patrick Wilson.
Yeah,
Which
I'm also
role's he
gonna watch
playing?
Avatar. I'm gonna watch Thanksgiving on Sunday, and then
So
after that.
good.
Oh yeah.
it's-
Well, I'm finally gonna watch it this weekend because it only comes out today because it's Wednesday right now. It only comes out today in France, and my cinema's only showing it one time in the entire week in English. So I'm gonna try and get there on time so I don't
It's-
miss the English showing.
Don't go in expecting anything.
No,
It's
I'm not expecting
classic.
anything. I haven't even seen the trailers. I'm just going in because I love horror movies and slashers. So it's like, fuck it. There's one at the cinema. I'll go watch it.
It brings you back to classic slashers. It's so good. Eli Roth should just do slashers. I never liked his hostile torture porn stuff. He literally
gore
should
stuff.
just do he should just do slashers. He's so good at it. It was a lot of fun. Like my whole theater was just laughing and having a good time. It was great.
Yeah, I can do the slashers, but all that weird hostile stuff, that's not for me. None of that
Yeah.
stuff. I don't want to see any of
Well,
that.
yeah, I'm not a big slasher fan, but it's okay. Well, I
I think you cut out, Jacob.
Jacob?
did y'all hear me?
No,
No,
you
I
said
don't.
you said well,
You said,
and then
well,
that was
I
it.
hit 300 subscribers.
Oh, yes.
Yay!
Yay.
Congrats,
Congratulations.
Jacob.
Party.
Congrats.
Party.
Oh, and I got to refresh the stream, I think, to see
Same.
that.
So
Oh, you're
300
at
Spartans.
301. Nice. Well, that's awesome.
So let's go around the horn and plug our stuff.
Okay.
Shieldwall.
Well, again, congratulations on 300. It's an honor to have been on your stream when it happened. I think I know why you got 301, but well, we all know why. Anyway, because it's a great channel and you're a great dude. But it was because of the ladies. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
It's all mags. All mags. 100%.
What? No. No, Nadia, come on.
But anyway, on Thursday, I'm going to be on Roman the Empire's channel. We're going to just be doing a free range, talking about different subjects and stuff. So we're not going to have like a movie or anything to review. We'll get back on track with that probably next month. And then, so I'll be doing that. And then, and they're coming to work on my roof tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, yeah, so thanks for having me on. Congrats on 300. This was a good movie. Highly recommend it. And this is a great panel. And thanks to the chat too. The chat's was great tonight. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, they've been good tonight.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Actually broke over 20 tonight. So.
Yes,
Nice.
that was also
Nadia, what do you got?
very good.
Tomorrow our
What do you got
three
coming?
amigo. Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, sorry about
Yeah.
that. Tomorrow, Inside All Day's episode on Three Amigos drops, and then I'm also on Zach's channel tomorrow discussing holiday movies, having a battle about holiday movies, I guess. And then this weekend, I'm being interviewed by the Sledgehammer horror podcast about my first horror movies and what I used to do in the industry. And yeah, that's I think that's everything coming up soon. But congratulations, Jacob. I'm so happy for you. I'm
Thank
like
you.
doing my little dance here.
Max.
Yes. Well, thank you again, Jacob, for having me
Yeah,
back
definitely.
on here, and especially talking about not just Alfred Hitchcock, but classic movies in general. Um, and thank you to the chat. The chat's been wonderful tonight. And let's see here, what do I have coming up? You can usually catch me on when I don't have IRL stuff going on. You can usually catch me on Toxic Femininity on Midnight's Edge on Mondays. And then you can see me also be on panels with Comics Division on Monday Meltdown, Young Apart Cars, which is on Wednesdays, and Thursday Night Throwdown Thursdays. It just depends on my IRL schedules, unfortunately, but they usually invite me on there, and I usually have a blast. So come check us out over there. And then, of course, next week, Nadia is our Dames and Dorks episode next Thursday.
Nope. No.
Not next Thursday?
The 14th.
Oh, the 14th. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're taking a long break.
Yes. Scheduling just yeah. Sorry,
Okay.
Max. Go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. The 14th will be Dames of Dorks. Next episode on Inside All Day podcast, and yeah, I hope to see everybody around. I'm getting myself into co-op games now, so you you'll see me boomer my way through those games. So hopefully, I can get myself started on Final Fantasy 14 and some Fortnite soon. So
Ooh.
Ooh, all right.
Great. Uninspired.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me on again. It's always a pleasure to come on your stream, and congrats on the 300. You deserve it, and
Thank you, sir.
really appreciate it because you cover a lot of movies that not a lot of people cover, which is great, especially considering that you cover only bangers, basically. So yes, it was great to talk about it. And Shieldwall, it was great to stream with you again. Nadia and Mags, pleasure to meet both of you. I had a great time, and yeah, in terms of what's going on with me, I think I have a live stream. I'm not too sure. I'm on Zax's show on the 13th of December, and then after that, I've got a live stream about Napoleon with Lance, the Outcast Creative, on the 18th. And, that's pretty much it. And hopefully, I get a couple of videos out before the end of the year, but not much going on with me right now, so it's pretty cool. Kind of like a mini vacation.
Cool. Nice. Well, for me, next week, I'm going to do the George C. Scott Christmas Carol.
Ooh,
So
nice.
that'll be
All right.
fun.
that's a good one.
Yeah. I know there's a bunch of them, but I just really like that one. That's my favorite version. But yeah, and I will also be on Roman's show Thursday. So that's all I got. And I really enjoyed y'all being on and enjoyed your thoughts on this movie. And thank y'all for coming on. Thanks for the chat to hang in there with us. Thanks for the new subscribers, and we will see y'all next time.
Later.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.